I'd like to take a listen to the NDC presidential candidate who decided to flag off his campaign officially, as though he has not been campaigning all this while. Anyway, he decided to flag off his campaign officially, and he made this interesting speech I thought you should listen to. Take a listen to Peter Obi.
Every candidate must be willing to present their credentials, defend their records, and subject their vision to open scrutiny. No candidate should hide behind the high walls of power, set proxies, or surrogates to do the office, and expect Nigerians to entrust them with leadership of their country. Every candidate must seek the presidency must have the courage to come before the people, defend their records, and so every candidate must seek the presidency. Defend their records and subject their vision to public scrutiny. True leadership requires presence and empathy. No one can lead from the front without standing with the communities across Nigeria devastated by banditry, criminality, terrorism, or fraud. You cannot truly lead a people you are willing to visit, listen to, and understand. Today, I make a clear commitment that I, Senator Rabi Kwankwaso, will take our message directly to Nigerians. We will listen to them, understand their concerns, and engage them openly. We will not delegate this duty process. We will answer the questions, defend our record and character, and present our plan to rebuild Nigeria. Any presidential candidate that lacks the resolve to travel across the country, meet the people, and respond to their questions lacks the capacity to govern it. I commit.
So this is just stupid. You want to campaign. Which one is other presidential candidates must campaign? They must go around the place. They must show their record. Do what you want to do. I mean, like, tell us what you want. I mean, I'm sorry, I just can't listen to the rest of this nonsense. Tell us what you want to do, right? Sell your ideas to us. Which one is everybody must do this? Are you the umpire? You're not the umpire. You are also a participant. You are a competitor. Just convince me. You can't convince me, sir, to be fair. All this our record. No record can convince me. But at least tell me what you want to do. Tell me why I should vote for you. Say it's campaign season, Abi. All right, so tell me why I should vote. Not tell me what others should do. As though whatever you want to do is a yardstick to measure the seriousness of other candidates. Nonsense. Ẹkáàbọ òkú tọ̀ṣà torí kọ́mọ́dà yóò pé èèyàn ṣe bákan. Ó ní kan tí màá tún play. Ẹkáàbọ parí eré náà. Just tell me, the candidate must be able to travel around the country. Says who? If the candidate wants to campaign from his office, that means that he's giving you opportunity to actually do more than him, then you can win other people's hearts. That's in your favor. What's your business with what the other candidate does? I don't know what kind of person they are doing. And this is a speech, if they read that more, if they read this kind of rubbish, any candidate that you are not INEC, you cannot determine the rules. Just as any candidate that cannot do this, any candidate that cannot do that. Who are you to tell us what other candidates should do? You are a candidate as well. This is what they call campaign. When they lose and they be crying, they be let's listen to the rest of it, I beg.
I respond to their questions, lacks the capacity to govern it. I commit to commencing the journey of resetting Nigeria by uniting it, securing it on the path of economic and inclusive growth, and moving our country from consumption to production. A new Nigeria is possible. God Almighty bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Okay, what is it? We will see. Let me play the other clip. We're talking about ethnicity and religion. Absolute trash. Take a listen, please. I apologize for playing absolute trash in your hearing, but we have to listen. So at least we know what we're dealing with. Take a listen, please.
They are accountable. The 2027 election must be guided by competence, capacity, compassion, character, and commitment. Our campaign will focus on urgent concerns of Nigerians and not on ethnicity or religion. Nigerians must reject and disregard any campaign driven by propaganda, ethnicity, religion, anachronism. As my team...
This must be a joke. This must be a joke. Peter Obi said that Nigerians... I beg, no, listen to it. I beg.
And commitment. Our campaign will focus on urgent concerns of Nigerians and not on ethnicity or religion. Nigerians must reject and disregard any campaign driven by propaganda, ethnicity, religion, anachronism. As my team and I travel across, we will listen to Nigerians, understand their needs and concerns, and assure them that we have the competence, character, compassion to lead and reset Nigeria for benefits of all. Nigeria deserves leaders who will engage them, listen to their concerns, present clear solutions to unite the country, defeat insecurity, pull people out of poverty, drastically reduce hunger and number of out-of-school children, improve education, health care, and new growth that serves everyone, especially the most vulnerable.
Peter Obi is an interesting character. I'll play some of the things that Peter Obi said, you should not do if you're running for president, and then tell me if this sounds like a person who is serious. Because you definitely cannot put this, you can't do this and then say what he just said. You're not going to run your campaign based on ethnicity, religion, or propaganda. That's literally what you've been doing. Take a listen to a few of those clips. Let's begin with this famous one.
And we are keeping quiet. Please, the church, wake up. Take back your country. God bless you.
When you said that he has split Anambra State, the person would have...
we used to do a homogeneous
church, wake up. Take back your country. God bless you.
Or you're an Anglo or you're Pentecostal. That is where we are degenerating now, and it's unfortunate. And he started that politics. Okay.
Good morning, Daddy.
Praise the Lord. How are you, sir?
Daddy, good morning, Daddy.
In Jesus' name, we are going to get a practice.
Thank you, Daddy. When I hear this is your call and prayers. Daddy is very dear to me.
Daddy.
And like I keep saying, in this world, you people will never regret this support.
We look forward to God's intervention.
Yes, Daddy.
Thank you, Daddy.
We look forward to God's intervention.
Thank you, Daddy.
We look forward to God's intervention.
And Daddy, I need you to speak to people in the south west. People in the southwest.
To do it.
And Okwara.
Okay.
To do it.
I'll take you.
Because I'm in the southwest and Okwara. It is a religious war.
It's a religious war. This is a person that wants to tell me that this campaign has nothing to do with ethnicity and politics. It's a religious war. Let me tell you, one of the things I don't like about Peter Obi is the fact that he puts himself on a pedestal that is non-existent. Which one is, we will do this, the other people should do it like this, nobody should do it like this? You don't even get mouth to talk based on your antecedents. So what should you do? Just tell the people what you want to do. Don't try to instruct others on what to do when you know that you're not above the fray. I'm worried. Move on. I'll play you a few of his clips just to give you an idea how he does things without recourse to ethnicity and politics. He's such a such a fine Nigerian. Take a listen to this clip where he was just busy stoking ethnic fires. Take a listen to this, please.
These are things that will change. Let me show you the WhatsApp. Let me read out the WhatsApp for you. Let me do this. Show you WhatsApp and send someone. Is there anybody here who can read very well? And everybody will join. Yes. This is a WhatsApp sent by Tinubu's group. No, read it out. I want you to read it out. Everybody can. No. Okay. Just read out what it says.
Yoruba, shine your eyes on. If you vote for Peter, is automatically voting for Seaport in South and Southeast. The Igbos will stop coming to Lagos State to invest. Rather, they will go to Delta and River States. They may even stop building houses in Lagos. It will affect a lot of Yorubas. Yoruba don't know.
This is your context. You don't see the value of let's have something better. He needs all the confusion. And that's it. And you support it. I'm not upset, I'm not useless.
Okay.
You support it. Once you come here and give me one, say Jagaban is the best country. Even when you come to work. When you come to work.
You don't have to be very smart to know that there is no way on earth that nonsense was written by Yoruba man. It's not because they wrote Yoruba name or not. It's because the content of it literally is a product of a deranged mind from the Southeast. Not all Southeastern minds are deranged, but this particular one that wrote that nonsense is deranged. Why? I saw this thing on Facebook, by the way. This nonsense that they put on social, that they claim to be on WhatsApp, Tinubu's WhatsApp, it's on Facebook. And the person who wrote it is definitely a deranged person, because you're saying that Yoruba people will not vote for Peter Obi because it will make Igbo stop coming to build houses in Lagos. Who wants you to invest in Lagos? What are you investing in Lagos? Is it recharge card and chargers? What kind of rubbish is this? Is it the charge? All those fine things. So whatever you're doing is fine. But when you say they're going to stop you from investing in Lagos, they will say the port you should not come to this port. So because if you come to this port, Lagos port, who wants you there? Listen, the thing is, as Nigerians, it should be nice to have everybody around. But if you're a nuisance, to be honest, personally, if you tell me that you want to move your things to Port Harcourt, I'll be like, Godspeed. And it's not because I hate you, it's just because I would have peace. Because you're just disturbing the peace. Oh, it's because they hate us. Oh, there's no port. Oh, there's port. We cannot use it. And we've talked about it before. We did a whole session on the port and why ports in the Southwest thrive more than other places. The primary reason, amongst other reasons, the primary reason is that the large majority of the consumption of what is being imported into Nigeria is in the Southwest. Between Lagos State and Ogun State, and maybe Oyo State because of the manufacturing, everything, they don't consume more than half of what you're bringing into Nigeria. So when you say that you want to have a presidential campaign without propaganda, but you literally use propaganda in the rubbish you did the last time, saying that you saw something from Tinubu's WhatsApp. Did you see Tinubu's father's name there? That okay, it's not that gave you that nonsense. A presidential candidate is regurgitating nonsense from social media as fact and using that to play the game against other Yoruba man who is seated there saying, oh, that's what you will vote for because they say it's actually a Jagaban. Yoruba investment in Lagos, of course. There's Yoruba investment in Lagos. There is a TV investment in Lagos. There's outside investment in Lagos. One man. It's not everything that these people are shouting about. Do I want everybody to come to Lagos? Absolutely. Do I want you to invest in Lagos? Absolutely. But when you're a nuisance, it's better for you to stay away. See, you're right. It's not say if you vote for him, they'll not take investment away. Which investment are you taking away that nobody else should bring? It's a funny thing you see with all this. And that's why somebody said, it's funny that you assume that when people go to school or get exposed, they tend to get better. Not in the Southeast. The bigotry, the victimhood is now used, like I've said several times, if you go back all the way to the 1940s, that victimhood has always been used as a tool to drive an agenda. And Peter B uses it in another interview I'm going to play for you in a second. It's funny how a person is guilty of something and then accused of every other person of that same thing. Quite interesting. Take a listen. We're going to take a listen to that variation. Just give me a second. Okay. So I want you to take a listen to some other things that Peter B said, because this is the person that wants to teach us. Again, if you're a politician, just go there and play the game, right? Leave the judgment to us, right? Let's decide who we want to vote for, all right? And let the INEC, the umpire, let them, judge who wins or loses. Stop trying to act as though you have moral superiority and you have a step ahead of others in determining how things should go, especially when we know your antecedents. 1 second, I'd like to take some interesting things he said. Most of it, of course, not very. It is what it is. Let's not say everything. It's one. This is the one who said that he's not going to use ethnicity as a base of campaign. Now, take a listen to this.
The man talk say will never become anything now. But no. You see, when you know yourself, Senate, we have regions. We even have in our constitution what they call federal character.
Character said politics. You see, we used to have conversations years ago, 8, 10, 12 years ago, talking about federal character and everything. All of us, including myself, I had the assumption, I really thought that when you talk about federal character, it favors the North. And to a large extent, it does favor the North. But if you really look at it, it's not only the North that it favors, so. Because how on earth are you using federal character as the basis of your argument when you're discussing politics and political power? Federal character has nothing to do with elective offices. But in spite of this, so we're not surprised. Let us say from the beginning.
The man talk say will never become anything now. But no. You see, when you know yourself, Senate, we have regions. We even have in our constitution what they call federal character. Then we say if they eat this food, everybody go get here equal. Then we say if you reach it, make it equal. Even if say na me will be, it treat us like human being. Okay, you come do your own.
That's the person who's trying to become Nigeria's president. We clearly know he's not going to get there. But thank you very much for being here. We're just listening to Peter Obi's campaign launch and regulatory delusions. The man is deluded. You find that video on our YouTube channel, Busui Oris. Thank you so much for being here. Good evening, everybody. Hope you had and are having a good day. Lovely Thursday evening. I'm glad you're here. I'd like to thank everybody on TikTok. Those who have helped us to get to 35.1k likes. All right. People have been tapping and liking the live, so thank you very much. Just going to scroll through very quickly. Bonfire Studios, good evening, sir. Koboko, evening, sir. T Dan Omokende. Thank you so much for power tapping, for liking the live and pushing us up. Thank you. All right. If you're on TikTok, please click on the heart icon above me right here and join the team. Let's drop hearts, means let's drop gifts, so we can push the live to the FYP together. All right. And if you're on YouTube and on Facebook, please like and share the live. Right. For those of us on Twitter, thanks for joining us. Please like and repost. We're gonna have a great time together today. We already started, by listening to that video we did a while back talking about Peter Obi's campaign, and rather than spending his time to tell us the things that he intended to do, he chose to play to the gallery by acting as though he were the umpire and say, "Oh, this is what you should do. This is what everybody should do." It's good to always have like kind of side attraction in every event. So I think what he's doing is the side attraction we need in next year's presidency or the presidential campaign leading to next year's election. Having said that, we're going to continue in that trajectory. Today we're discussing some of the things that Peter Obi recently said. Some of those things came up again. Why do I keep playing these things? I mean, we talk about Tinubu and the plans that Tinubu has. We share reports. The other day we did this scorecard, but there are still some Yoruba people who are blessed. All of us are blessed, but some people they're blessed get leg because there's no way you are thinking straight, and somehow you expect that someone like Peter Obi should be the one leading the rest of sane human beings in this country. Like it doesn't sound very cool. So in order to maybe help disabuse the minds of such people, we play these ridiculous things so that you can actually listen to. Because I hear this and I'm like, how can you say these things as a even regular citizen, let alone somebody who wants to run for the highest office in the land? That you expect people to still vote for you. So just in case we have a lot of people here whose minds are, see, let me tell you something. I want you to vote for Tinubu. I don't do all this. I'm not biased. I'm in the middle. I am biased towards Tinubu. So I acknowledge my positionality. However, um, I'm not a psychopath. I can admit where he's wrong. I can point out issues with what he's doing. I can even critique some of his policies. That's what it means to be enlightened. And I think I'm on the path. But the idea that, you just want to say, I don't really care what you vote for. Meanwhile, remember some of these people who used to tell people that they are journalists and they are objective. They are the one pushing Peter Obi's manifesto. Particularly Rufai. Everybody is happy with him. I don't know why. And this is supposed to be professional journalists. Maybe I'm the one putting them on a pedestal, though. Many of them are OAPs, which is nothing bad. It's just that they're not what you think they are. So I said that to say that I support Tinubu and I want him to be president. However, I also think it's important to let other people air their opinion. So yesterday or 2 days ago, we played stuff from Shore, from Rotimi Amechi, from Enunjawaya, because Peter Obi is not Enunjawaya. No matter what you do, just give him a microphone, he go talk rubbish. But we still play what they have to say because they are all presidential candidates, regardless of who I prefer. All right? And yes, I want you to vote for Tinubu. But beyond that, if you're a Yoruba person, you should also look at these things. And particularly if you're an obedient, you should be embarrassed. Evening, honesty pays. Ẹkáàbọ. Thank you so much. So let's get started with Peter Obi again. Then we'll go into some of the clips that I got since yesterday on Yoruba Muslims, and then we will spend considerable time discussing ethnic nationalities in Nigeria. I'll try not to go too deep into Yoruba Muslim thing because whenever we talk about religion in Yoruba land, I think and philosophy, I get to say a lot of stuff. But we're going to have another session on that later. But for today, I'll just play some things I got and let you know that there's a reason some people are pushing back the way they are doing, and that they're not crazy people, particularly those in traditional religions. The traditional religion worshippers they're not crazy. For the most part, they are reacting to something. And I got some of those clips. I knew those things, but it's also important to acknowledge some of the issues that we have in that space. So I'm going to play them at some point. But let's get started with some of the interesting things that Peter Obi said that I hope this one.
Ghana health budget, Ghana, yeah, is
Okay, Emma, you know, I can- one person has $41 million Ghana for healthcare. Please don't go to number but
So usually our doctors, when I put money in general hospitals, they transfer it to somewhere else. And I decided, women, and I decided I'm going to work with the agencies, schools owned by the churches, hospitals owned by the churches and everything. And I started funding them like ENU and everything.
and everything. So he said, you know, we had issues trusting people because they were essentially, according to him, money that he puts in the general hospital was being diverted elsewhere. So he decided to work with the schools, with the, you know, mission-owned schools, or sorry, hospitals. I'm going somewhere. Then he now said this one.
Today, God allows schools of nursing, midwifery, and any other state. We have three teaching hospitals. Three teaching hospitals from our own university teaching hospital to ENU to Bonomio. They are teaching hospitals today because of that decision I took. So it's very simple. Today, God allows us state. We have the highest number of schools of nursing, midwifery, and any other state. We have
I have a question. Does Peter B realize that people can easily fact check things in this age of internet? Like, you don't have to even necessarily go through FOI in order to get this information. Peter B lies. Anambra does not have the highest number of schools of nursing in Nigeria. And I got a report. Thankfully, Sati Sense decided to publish this. Edo State has the highest with 18. All right, 18. Kaduna also has 18. So both of them share that. I mean, that's a tie for them. Edo and Kaduna 18. Enugu 17. Delta 16. Imo 16. Kano 16. Abia. So Abia, Anambra, Osun, and Oyo have 13. But Peter Obi said that they have the highest number. It's the same mindset of I am better than all of you, I am superior, I am the highest, I am the greatest. All these products of inferiority complex. You have to find a way to arrogate some form of superlatives to yourself in order to give you some. You have the idea that you are better than everybody else in order to now give you that sense of worth. It's a shame. Peter Obi is lying too much, and people should probably just talk to him and calm him down. He lies as though lying is going out of fashion. There is no way on earth, you know, that a person keeps repeating these things, and I keep saying it. The reason I'm talking about him is not because I want to promote him. I definitely don't want to. Of course, you can't even promote this kind of thing. The idea basically is this: if you're on, maybe you are in the middle, on the wall, and you don't know, on the fence, and you don't know which part to, you know, join, it can't be Peter B. He's just lying. So I won't spend too much time on him today because we have better things to discuss. But it's important to mention that very quickly. Having said that, I'd like to go on to other. Oh, no. There's one more thing. Yeah. There's one more thing I have to play. This one is actually bad thing. Anybody
who says he's happy in Nigeria today, anybody who says he's happy in Nigeria today, tell him that Mr. B said he's not a human being. He's an animal.
Did you hear that? I'll play one more time.
Anybody who says he's happy in Nigeria today, tell human being. It's an animal.
Anybody who says he's happy in Nigeria today, tell him that Mr. Obi says that he's not a human being, he's an animal. Whatever will make him become anything that will lead the rest of the country outside the Southeast, but that never happened. Not even a parastatal. Why on earth would you have a problem with people's happiness? You know, at the end of the day, even if you have everything going good in terms of economy, there will be something you want to be very careful of. I mean, there may be things that happen that may want to shake you a bit, and somehow you have to find a way to cheer yourself up. So to do that means you're an animal, to Peter Obi. Happy people are animals. That's what Peter Obi is saying. In other words, what gives them joy? Thanks for all the gifts of Mosala and everybody. When everybody is sad, when people are hopeless, when people are complaining, because that is their own badge of honor where they come from. You have to be sad. You have to talk about how terrible things are. You have to be hopeless. You have to have conversations about how nothing will happen in Nigeria, nothing can grow. This man went to talk to young kids graduating in nursing school. That's in the young kids. Young people, they are kids. They're young people in their 20s, and said to them that there's no hope for them in Nigeria, that it's not like they're going to get jobs. They might even be thinking of traveling out. How do you talk like that in a country you want to govern? Meanwhile, his wife, his video was all over the social media with the wife attending parties and dancing. Is he talking about his wife as well? So if a person is happy, they're not human beings, they're animals, because Peter Obi said so. Who is Peter Obi outside this group of myrmidons, like Wole Soyinka calls them, the obedience? Who is he? What does he have to say? So you can't be happy. And this is the reason you notice that a lot of young people who follow, regardless of their ethnicities, particularly the clowns who are Yoruba, and I'm calling you clowns for the first time today, you've got to be a bit dumb. Because you will jettison every good thing you see, because you have to join the mob to just continue with the identity of hopelessness. Because think about, if you're obedient, you don't want to be called hopeless now. You don't want to be called an animal. So you say that, there's nothing good happening in this country, I can't be happy. And you hear them on social media. Young people, how can you be in your 20s and be this sad? What have you even seen in life? Everybody's going through challenges, so God is helping all of us. But you know, there's a level that some things you would have seen in life that make you say certain things. But you see, sincerely, they're children. They are talking, they are angry, and I get the anger from the perspective of maybe they want more, they expect more, so that I understand that. But it has now crossed from just anger to bitterness. Just bitter. You hear that something good is happening in Nigeria, you're just sad. You're just bitter, like nothing good. You hear the good news, you find a way to counter the good news with the possibility of another bad news, because you have to be sad. Like Afishe. This is the person who is leading them. If you are happy, you are an animal. How can you speak like this? How does a person like this lead? How? You have nothing hopeful. I mean, listen, even if things are not going to work, let me tell you something. From what I know, maybe because of my training, if you are trained in ministry or whatever, your primary product is hope. That's what you dispense. That's what you peddle. You peddle hope. If you're a politician, right? If you are attacking the opposition, maybe you can be coming up with something, but if you want to campaign, not to assume a particular position, you also have to peddle hope. Possibilities. You say New Nigeria is possible, but you have never told us any good thing that's going to happen in that New Nigeria. These are the things that can happen in Nigeria. This is what will happen in our health sector. These are the possibilities in education. These are the possibilities in farming. This is what you can get in agriculture. Nothing like that. But if you are happy, you are an animal. How can this person lead? So when you go online, for instance, and you see all those young people in universities dancing, right, happy that they got their fund loan and they got the stipends from the federal government, you're going to call all of them animals. Then the animals should come and vote for you. What a wonderful thought pattern. It makes no sense. The thought process is absolute nonsense. So in case you are wondering why you're always talking about it, because and someone said, I think I saw it in the comment section earlier, if you want to defeat this guy, you don't have to do anything. Just give him a microphone. Give him a microphone. He will take himself out of whatever it is he thinks he's trying to get into. I'm saying this because if you're a young person, and to be honest, the reason I play him every time is because Yoruba people and young people, you cannot have this kind of person because, listen, if you are not in power and everything you're saying is hopelessness, if you get in power, there are challenges there. Oh. This person who went to one party and said he's going to leave the party as soon as one problem comes, he doesn't have time for a problem. How do you want to run a country like Nigeria? Nigeria is a problem. And it's not because it's cursed or anything. It's because it's complex. Everybody's doing their own, and you are the one that's leading. You have to come up with ideas. You say do it this way, they say no. Someone says ethnicity, someone says religion, someone says because you are Yoruba, it's because you are this, and you are the leader. This kind of person will just throw in the towel and say, you know what, it's because I'm Igbo. He cannot come up with anything sensible in terms of leadership or inspiration. It's a shame that you are following him if you are. Because last election, you guys were just insulting everybody. Me, I won't even insult you, but you too, if use your 18 to listen to what you just listen to right now. If you're an happy person, if you're a happy person, I'm not like you, so if you're a happy person and you're a Nigerian, Peter Obi says you're an animal, including the people that follows him. So they should say Mr. Peter, Mr. Obi, Mr. Ambo. And to bat Mr. Fun. Anyway, the point here is that the idea that people have to be sad in order for you to know that they are against the presidency is arrant nonsense. And here's the flip side. You're a Christian. And now let the weak say I am strong. Even your scripture says that you should look at this from the brighter side. Like what it says, let the weak say I'm strong. The idea of strength is even optimistic. Everything this guy doesn't even align with the scripture. And that's the funny thing. They're the ones that shout Jesus the most. Oh, they love God. Church, take back your country. We are Christians. We must use the Lord of God. They're going to Islamize Nigeria. We are the children of God. Oh, children, our record. Just talking rubbish. Opportunity to even show you're a Christian now. You are telling people that they should be hopeless. You know the same scripture that I talked about, if weeping lasts in the morning, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. That gives hope. Somebody say, if you're happy right now, you are an animal. This is why I keep saying that President Tinubu has to help us in this country to fulfill the promise that President Buhari made. We need 15 psychiatric outposts across the southeast. And I'm not saying this as a job. I'm saying it because there is a huge problem. So as Christian, we're doing early morning worship, then open shop to sell fake parts. What won't be me there? Never thought about it that way, but do you? That's actually profound because people say, go to Ariari. I mean, I've told you, I used to go to Ariari when I was 7. I served in Ẹkáàbọ. Ẹkáàbọ is the next door neighbor to Abia State. So go to Ariari to buy things sometimes for NCCF. I was in Christian Corpus Fellowship. We'll go there and buy stuff. And Orin, which is beautiful. There's singing and preaching and stuff. That's not to say that you're not going to buy fake things inside that same market. I guess that's human stuff for you. Like I said, we're going to go on to discuss ethnic nationalities in Nigeria. I want us to go into different part of the country and the case they made for themselves. But before we do that, I want to play some of the clips I got after yesterday's session. Yesterday's session, I spent a lot of time discussing religion in Yoruba land, and now we have to be very careful what's happening right now. It's as though we're sitting on a keg of gunpowder, Tabayen sọ̀rọ̀ àwọn tarabi, Ẹkáàbọ sọ̀rọ̀ tarawa now. There are certain things that people are doing tí ó bá kún gbé, and it has to do with the way people have been aggressive in the way to be honest, they're pushing back. What I've discovered though is I don't like it when people say, let's talk about who started it, who is doing it, let's trade blames. I don't think that's how you make progress. You see what's happening, you nip it in the bud, or at least you let people know that that's not the path to take. However, it doesn't change the fact that it's also important to acknowledge some issues. So when I got some of these things, I felt, I'm just going to share it, especially because we had this discussion just yesterday. So, apparently there are some so-called affairs who are just moving mad. Yesterday was one pastor that was talking rubbish about Oromila. Another thing I should tell people is this: if you are here, I do equal opportunity. I don't care your ethnicity or your religion. If you mess up, you will collect. And if you're in Yoruba land, all this thing, like they did it to me, me too. It's not me. You will collect too. No ethnicity, no religion is mark. But I'm talking all the while there. Come on, sorry, see. But I'm very in we talked about it and how it was wrong as far as Oromila is concerned because he did not know Jack. I'm a Christian, but that was rubbish. If a Muslim says the same thing, we'll say it. If a traditional worshipper says the same thing, we'll say it. It's not about one. That's why, again, the gentleman that came and said one religion is nobody superior to anybody in this Yoruba land. That will not make you comfortable, but that's okay. I'm just telling you where I'm coming from. I don't do all this agabagibi. Having said that, let's now listen to some of the things that we heard. But people eat bad show. I told them download no buru. Eja koko be la se le now.
Gbogbo ẹ̀yin Mùsùlùmí ẹ gbádùn, gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń larí mọ́lẹ̀ márùn lójúmọ́ wèrè iṣẹ́ yìí, gbogbo ẹ̀yin àlèsù náà àti Súfì, gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bílíkì tẹ́ ń gé ṣòkòtò nísàlẹ̀, orí yín gbóná, orí ń ta yín, gbogbo wọn tó bá ti lọ sí Mẹ́kà tó lọ fárí, òun sókè ṣètánì ọ̀pẹ̀ wọn léyà, òun sásàbà ti máa rúwà wèrè tí ń ṣe òfúra ní. Ṣẹ́rí àwa sí lórí àpò láṣẹjọ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ni. Wèrè tó wà lórí yín yẹn tẹ́ ọgbẹ́ lè máa jẹ́ àti síta kẹ́ ẹ máa bú àwọn ẹlẹ́bọ bó ṣe wù. Wo ẹ gbà ẹ ràn ó nísìnyí back to back ni. Gbogbo àwọn ẹ̀kọ́ tẹ̀lé sọ ti pẹ́ yẹn la máa wú jáde, back to back la máa fi ṣe ẹ ràn ó.
You know. Someone says aura for aura. I say aura in your for aura apparently. Sherry, kakosare sọ ní ìwọ̀nba tó mi fẹ́ jókòó sórí ọ̀rọ̀ Peter náà. Ẹ jẹ́ play díẹ̀ sí kí n tó sọ nǹkan tó mi fẹ́ sọ.
Àwọn ìyá mi ẹ má bu ẹnu Júù àti Kírísítà ni wọ́n ń pè bẹ́ẹ̀. Ẹ má bu ẹnu o. Ọlọ́run bá ní gbogbo àwọn kèfèrí min ahlil kitabi nínú àwọn ahlil kitabi yẹn Júù àti Kírísítà. Wọ́n ní mùṣírikí àtàwọn abọ́gibọ̀pẹ̀, àwọn oníṣẹ̀ṣe, àwọn onífá, àwọn oníbílẹ̀. Ọlọ́run bá ní fi nari jahannama. Ọlọ́run bá ní inú náà ni wọ́n lọ. Gbogbo ẹni bá kú sínú Christianity lọ lè wọ náà ni. Judaism ẹni bá kú sínú ẹ̀sìn Júù lọ lè wọ náà ni. ẹni bá kú sínú ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ìbọ̀rìṣà ọlọ́run ní fi nari jahannam ọlọ́run ní iná jahannama ń retí wọn.
So, how do people say this and expect that at some point? To be fair, I think Christians probably will not respond. I mean, there's a gentleman, Yusuf, they call him. He's been, and that's the point. They say they are doing. I don't like the apologetics they do in this country because the person who is trying to counter the other religion doesn't even know his own religion, no, let alone the religion he's talking about. So he will be doing this, attacking Christians. Christians also got, to the point where they now began to talk to him, but they're always using scriptures and text. But if you do this and not respond to you, and you're not crying, and you're not shouting, you're going to court in a lorry, you also have a problem, Mo. Bombo, I'm going somewhere. I'll still tell you what I think. I'll just play some of the things I got, then I'll see what I want to say about it. Timba play orin, ṣé copyright YouTube ò ní mú báyìí. Ẹni yẹn kì í sọ orin tó kọ síbẹ̀, ó sọ pé ẹ kì í mute ẹ̀ máa gbọ́ máa kọ́ fún yín, ẹ fún mi ìṣẹ́jú kan, torí copyright máa strike lórí Facebook and YouTube. Just a second. I don't know the man. It's juju. Ó ní àwọn tó kan Jésù mọ́gì wọn ò lè gbé náà ojú ànábì. Ṣé ti gbọ́ yẹn rí? Àwọn tó kan Jésù mọ́gì o wọn ò lè gbé náà ojú ànábì o. Wọ́n sọ pé kí ni ìtumọ̀? Wọ́n sọ pé torí pé ọmọ líle là ànábì. And the point is that people, of course, wọ́n fi ṣe party ni, but people are beginning to ṣu désàlẹ̀ kòkò. And I think a lot of the Yoruba people in recent times who are attacking Islam, here's what I've discovered: almost 100% of them are former Muslims. But there's something we have to be very careful about. This is not the first time people are converting to traditional worship. A lot of Christians have become traditional religious worship. Some of them are even still doing it and still going to church. Some Muslims were also doing it. But what I've noticed is this: the Muslims that were taught so deep, which is why I'm always very careful when we have conversations, even about Nigerian politics, and someone says things like, I hate these people, I hate a particular ethnicity. Don't do it. Don't. Because tí nǹkan bá lọ ṣe tó jẹ́ pé tànú àti ìbànújẹ́ ọkàn lẹ fi ń ṣe nǹkan tẹ́ ń ṣe, tí nǹkan bá lọ ṣe, which usually happens because we're all humans. A person, imagine somebody gets angry, all right, and begins to now bring that venom. Now, ó wà ní Islam, wọ́n kọ́ ní kọ̀kúkọ̀. Mi sọ pé gbogbo Islam ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀, mò ń lọ bìkan dúró tì mí o. Àwọn kan, a sect came along to tell them that they should not prostrate. And we've heard all those, I've seen all those videos. I don't talk about it, and I've told you why yesterday. Maybe I'll still say it again. You must not prostrate for your parents. You cannot greet kings. And one king is not as important as the imam of your town. Just saying all kinds of rubbish. The children hear these things. Something happens sometime in the future. Maybe for some reason they decide to explore. It could be that they got disillusioned with the religion. It could be that they heard about how traditional worship is better, or it could be that they got into a particular bind or a trouble, and then was traditional religion that set them free, and then they begin to see what happens in that place. And like, nǹkan tó wá ṣẹlẹ̀ ni pé inú níbí náà àti ẹ̀tanú tán fi sínú wọn gbà tán wà níbi tán wà yẹn, ọ̀nà wọn ń lò against Islam sí. Àwọn kan tó ń sọ ọmọdé sọ́lá náà, some of the things they say, they are true. I think it will also be disingenuous for me to say, they're just lying about the Quran. They are not lying. But the reason I don't say those things is because, like I said yesterday, I know Yoruba Muslims, and I see the way Yoruba people actually practice Islam. I grew up, I mean, just like every other Yoruba person, our environment, you see all kinds of religions and ethnicities in our spaces. So we're not that kind of, we're not myopic as far as that is concerned. So I know that àwọn bíbí yìí wọ́n ń ṣe, àwọn tí wọ́n ò gbọ́kàn lọ bẹ̀ yẹn, right? That's not, it's just recently some people just came with these fundamentalist ideas And that's what people are now subscribing to. So, and this is what I want to advise those who are also going against Islam, if they're Yoruba people. I want to advise you that please try and also appreciate the fact that no, Akadol, it's not pastor saying it. You can mention the people saying it. It is not a widespread belief system. What you are doing is actually what I don't like doing. When people feel like if you are saying something about this person, you must also say something about this person. That's not how to do it. On this matter, it's about what people that have moved from Islam to traditional worship, what they are doing. This is not about, since I mentioned this one, I must also mention that one. That's not the point. The point is that, and this is my plea to those who are moving to traditional worship from Islam, please, try and also remember that there is a way Islam is done here. What you have learned or what you were learning before you got converted is actually not the mainstream Islam in Yoruba land. And I'm not a Muslim, and I'm not speaking up for Muslims. I'm just telling us that there's a way we have to play this such that we don't assume that every Yoruba person is an extremist. Because the way Yoruba people practice Islam, we know you Rushdie. It's all those things. You have to start thinking that, but the point is it possible? This is a question I want people to also think about. Is it possible? I think it is, and I think it has been done, that Islam in Yoruba land has been adapted to our own reality, perhaps based on culture, on enlightenment, on Western education. Has been inspired or influenced by different things, such that it appears different from what you find in the North, for instance. And I think it's important to also acknowledge that, rather than assume that every Muslim in Yoruba land is worthy of being stoned because they are all for it. Because you can find it's the same language. And this is not to say that there are some people, Christians or other people. See, I thought they were Christian yesterday. Nobody. Some say it has been corrupted, sir. Bro.
Ẹ̀dákẹ́ o, irọ́ tí ẹ ń pa, ẹ̀dákẹ́, irọ́ tí ẹ ń pa, ẹ̀yin Mùsùlùmí lẹ ń pa ayàn, ẹ̀dákẹ́, irọ́ tí ẹ ń pa, ìwé yín ló pa yín láṣẹ, ẹ̀dákẹ́.
So I'm not going to play everything. I got a lot of videos. I'm not going to play everything because this is going to... Some of the things they are saying, they are actually there. Who are at this particularly, and some passages of Quran. But I think that interpretation can also help. And I'll say this for Muslims. You don't have to take it. But I think one of the ways that people should... One of the things that guide us in interpreting ancient texts is one word: context. And maybe if people apply that, maybe it will help. So that people don't have... I'm a bit agitated about what this can become. All right? So, but because as people, we have to be very careful. This word does not revolve around what we are saying on social media. Social media is a subset of society, not everything in society. There are people who have not yet been influenced by this. I see some people, for instance, now, they went out, and got children in traditional religion, and when they got young people, and they began, it's the video, began to say all kinds of things about different religions. This is the thing they're doing. The thing they are doing is this, and I said it yesterday, I'll say it again. They are not following the precepts of traditional religion. How do I know? You ask me later, then we can talk about the relevant verses in Ifa. Many of the things people are doing in the name of defending traditional worship is actually jihadist mindset. Should you stand up for your faith? Of course. Should you use the method of the other person? Tá bá sọ pé tí nǹkan bá dá mi lágbo ni màá fọ́ lẹ́yìn, tá díẹ̀ bá dá mi lágbo ni màá fọ́ lẹ́yìn. Tá fi máa fọ́ ọgbọ́ ẹ̀yìn ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, kí ló máa kú? I'm just saying that people should live and let live. Like, we will never have a time when all of us will do one faith. And I've said this several times. Even traditional religion is not one faith, regardless of what people think about it today. It is like that today because it has been structured to be like that. And let's structure it. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not going to mention who structured it. It's not one thing. It's not one thing. There are several types of modes of worship, and different people have different ways. That's not the point. Okay, so let's say if you want to build societies and you say, oh, they've been doing it for a long time, I'm going to do the same thing now. Oh yeah, both of you now do it and scatter the society. So you have done what you want to do, they have done what they want to do, but you have nothing else to govern. So you are literally you are the religious person who lives in the ashes. You stood up for your religion, but there's no society to live in anymore. I've said it several times. Because even you go to, well, ancient Persia, you can still see what they did with, what Islamic scholars did. You can see what traditional religious people did in Yoruba land in the past. You can see the effect of Christianity. You begin to ask yourself the questions: what are we doing today that will make people feel that, oh, this faith you subscribe to is the reason you're making this kind of progress? It's the reason you're actually advancing like this. There's nothing to show. The only thing we are doing is, I'm better than you, you're better than me. And here's the crazy part. I mentioned yesterday, I'll say it again. Here's the most crazy part, the craziest part. Many of us cannot quote one thing to make sense in the religions that we are practicing. But we can fight. We need to begin to think straight. But this is not to say that people that are doing it are not pushing back. I know they are pushing back, and I mentioned it already. But we can't keep just having sessions and say, we are just pushing back. But when it gets to the point, it's called that you're actually giving them a basis to actually do what was done to them. That's not how to make society work. There's one more clip I want to. This one is actually quite. The guy was a proper Muslim scholar. Proper Muslim scholar. Not just studied the Quran, studied the Arabic language. His name is Malik. I've been seeing his videos for a while, but this one he did a lot of time along. He actually made me start thinking about something I'm going to say after this. Take a listen.
Like wọ́n lè tó fẹ́ ta lọ́wọ́ pé ìròyìn ti kàn wá lára bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe máa ń ṣe olórí burúkú ní ìṣẹ̀ ẹ̀ lè ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ní ṣáláì like kò sí bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe lè ṣe ẹ̀ lè máa wọ orí burúkú yìí náà ẹ kí lè ṣe fún kí ló fún ẹ pé ká máa sọ̀rọ̀ máa àtọ́ ẹgbẹ́ tó ní káwọn èèyàn máa sọ̀rọ̀ nípa ìsìlámù ní ẹgbẹgbẹ̀rún sí ń bọ̀ mélòó la ti sọ ìkọ́ta ti sọ kankan. Apart from that, àwọn yóò sì ń bọ̀ lẹ́yìn tó sì máa sọ̀rọ̀ ayé yín ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí bàjẹ́ ni ṣé ti Islam lọ but ṣé ẹ máa.
I need to quickly respond to something in the comment section. Someone says they need to create awareness to the people or they will be enslaved like the others. That's not true. You're conflating things. 1 second. This is why I said we have to be very, very careful. I've heard this argument, Omotola, from different people. It is not the right argument. And I'll explain. What is happening in Yoruba land is not what happened in Hausa land. In Hausa land, there was a war. It wasn't about, people setting up stands to preach and criticize Isheshi or anything. It was a war. They fought a bloody war, and the Fulani conquered. And the Fulani, before and after the war, designed Islam in such a way that it became the tool that they required to be able to entrench themselves in power. That's what happened in the north. What's happening in Yoruba land is this. Islam came to us, not through the Fulani, to be clear. We had Islam even before the Fulani arrived at the shores of this country. There have been Muslims here. Now, at some point, there was like a wave of migration from Fulani and everything that eventually came into Oyo Empire and led to something that was actually very terrible at some point in Yoruba history, when Oyo people decimated Muslims in Oyo area, not just Oyo town, everywhere in Oyo, only on Dano, because of some violence that they were doing at the time. But they were never the ones in power in Yoruba land. What happened to the Hausa is not just about religion, it's the loss of political power, even before the arrival of the British. What's happening in Yoruba land has nothing to do with so they will not enslave you like the Hausa. Right now, the conversation, and we have to be very careful how we use Isheshe. Are you talking about our value system, or are you talking about the faith system? If it's the faith, it's not all of us that belong to it. We don't all belong to Balaye. We don't. Say I'm not a Muslim, I'm not traditional worship, I'm not anything, and we'll still be Yoruba. So, to say that, the reason people are speaking up is so that it will not go the way of the Hausa, I think it's a bit far-fetched. However, this is why I agree with you. However, I also know that there are people who have the mindset of doing to us what was done in the north. But the way to counter it is not, it's going to take different forms. You see, when it comes to these matters, I hold myself back a lot, and it's because there are things that my fair feels by me. I'm just saying that it's going to take different forms, and I don't think this confrontational thing, and I'll tell you this for a fact, it is very recent, and it is not because they've been insulting traditional worship for so long. That's not why. I will tell you now. The reason people are attacking Muslims is not because traditional worshippers have been insulted for so long. It's a justification that people are using on social media. That is not the reason you are attacking them. The reason a lot of you are attacking them is because you used to be part of them. And now you discovered the mistakes in it. You now have a reason to be here, whatever brought you here. Maybe you are here now because you love traditional religion. You are here because you got disillusioned. You are here because you found an answer here. For whatever reason you are here. You are now going against people that gave you that thing in the first place. You are some of the people fighting Islam were the people who were insulting the traditional worshippers when they were Muslims. Let's make that professor have a sorrow. Some people that are insulting Islam now were the ones who were insulting traditional religion when they were Muslims. You are trying to make up for lost time. You are like an obedient who suddenly just woke up and saw that he's been fooling around with P2B. It's the same thing. You see, have you noticed that the worst terrible people you will find? Buru, and I always respect them because when they grab you, if a form of obedience grabs you, have you noticed how form of obedience talk to obedience? If a form of obedience grab an obedient, because I've heard people, you've heard some of them here now. See what happened, see what we thought. We didn't even know it was like this. We're insulting Tinubu, we're insulting Kiniko. Now that they have come into knowledge, they will attack any everybody is what's happening. Somebody said like Mr. Martins. Yes. When Mr. Martins begins to speak, you know he's trying to make up for something. Like, oh boy, all those time I wasted in that camp, I have to redeem the time. That's what's happening. It's a psychological thing. You're not fighting for the religion. And you call them the and the method you are using is the method from Islam. Well, people come and say, so they've been doing this to them. Were you there when they were doing to them? No, you are not even part of, I almost said us. You're not even part of tradition. Have you, again, I'm not saying that Christians did not speak against traditional worshippers or Muslims speak against traditional worshippers. However, traditional worshippers have also spoken against both of them. I don't like all this. It's happened, but of course, to be fair, in recent times, that happened more from the side of Christians and Muslims towards them. But for the Christians, the conversation is usually about, and this is the truth, the conversation for Christians is usually about the worship itself, the concept of worship, which of course people call idol worship. You can't bow to Ere and things like that. And I explained it the other day that some of the things that we call idol, they're not really idols. They're actually artworks. Idol worship gets into the point where you begin to venerate the objects, appreciating the work of art that you see, which is what many of us need to do. Many of us need to do it because some of us also need to understand these things. If somebody will come from England and tell you that your images are idols, is a Christian, you became a Christian, it carries these things and puts it in British museums. They go there and like, oh, this is fantastic art. And you are shouting Jesus. You don't understand the fact that what they've done is to assume that everything that has to do with you is idol worship. Meanwhile, it is not an idol. It's not all of us. No, I'm not an idol worshiper. I am not an idol worshiper. There is a line. The line is spirituality. A lot of us will go to Chinese restaurant and you see all this, their artwork, and you appreciate it. Some of them is even religious. So you see Buddha statue, you will see go there and eat in Golden Gate. You see it there. Once you see Oriolokun, your head will not be swelling, be shouting, I don't worship. In Konshewa no. The person who told you it's an idol is making economic sense out of what you are losing in the name of religion. The idol is when you begin to venerate. You begin to pay obeisance. You begin to do all those things. But if you have a picture of your father on the wall in your house, how is that different from me having the picture of Oriolokun? Because when you hear Olokun, you think of a goddess. When I hear Olokun, I think of a businesswoman who became an Orisha. So if you enter my house, for instance, and you see Oriolokun somewhere in the house, and you say, Kele, I'm like, she's an Ife woman who did so fantastically well that by the time she passed on, she was deified. And you can, and it's the same thing like having images of Barack Obama in your house, or maybe even JFK. Recently, I saw a picture. I saw something on CNN where somebody put a picture of Barack Obama, and they essentially turned it into a shrine. They turned it into a shrine. That's what they went to do with somebody's picture. All of that to say that we have to understand the divide. You know, it's not everything that you say, oh, they're idol worshippers, they're idol worshippers. And then the point is, people are responding, I get it. However, we also have to find a way to calm down, because a lot of us who are shouting, they used to insult traditional worshippers. You were not traditional worshipper anything when they were insulting. You, Gogon self, were the ones insulting traditional. Me, when I was growing up, I didn't have to insult traditional worshippers. I had to go and do projects. You know, somebody came and said, oh, we can come up. You became this traditional Kiniko 2 years ago. Early 2000s, we were doing researches in shrines. And you would be taught before you left class that you're going to this place as a scholar. You don't go there and say, my own is better than your own. You calm down and you learn. You who came in 2 years ago, you were the ones insulting us. And say, how can you be a Christian and be going to that place? How can you be a Christian and be doing research in that place? And then you saw the Kinukon, Okukulo and Bear, Ishuni, issue in that sense, issue the other one. You were the one saying it. Now that for some reason you have now jumped into the side that you were insulting us, I was not part of the side, but I was researching it. We would go there, we will sit down at their feet, they will tell us things, we will write it down, we will learn, we will study. We were Christians, but we respected their faith. You did not respect their faith, you were cursing them out. Now that you have become part of them, you are not trying to make up for what you did back in the day. You are not telling me that was because they insulted. You were the one insulting them now. Did I join you to insult them? I was learning from them. You were insulting them. So why do you think I'm going to have the same arguments as you? I cannot, because I didn't join you to insult them. I couldn't, because it would not make sense if I really want to get anything out of what I was doing. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not like everyone wants to boo one, it's what join one thing. I chat my say obedient fún wa. Eka farabalẹ̀ o. Agbo díẹ̀ lọ ni àwé ìka tó lọ sọ́nà mi ọ̀rọ̀ mi.
Bring Islam down. If you are so comfortable, if you are too confident, láti gbàgbọ́ wípé kò sí nǹkan tó máa mú Islam lọ́nà Yorùbá, kò sí nǹkan tó Islam lè lo. Why does he need gbogbo stress? Why does he need láti jiyàn pé èèyàn kan tó sọ̀rọ̀ nípa Islam kí ló ṣe tẹ́ ẹ fi fẹ́ jí gbé? Ókè kí ni ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ tí ta ni Ọlọ́run ṣe é sí? Kí ni kankan tó ṣe gbogbo kí ni òfin tẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ gbé? Tẹ́lẹ̀ báyìí pé ó dá yín lójú tí pé Islam kò sí nǹkan tó bá Islam gbogbo àwọn abáláwo tí nìkan tẹ̀ máa sọ nìyẹn. Ṣé báwo ọ̀rọ̀ gbogbo àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ tẹ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ láti dín tẹ́ máa sọ nìyẹn? Èmi lọ kò sí nǹkan tó bá Islam èmi tó máa àwọn nǹkan tó ṣe síwájú àwọn nǹkan tó ṣe sẹ́yìn kankan tá máa sọ pé ayé íńtánẹ́ẹ̀tì làwọn ayé lè fi gbé ayé ìgbà yẹn. Báyìí pé ọ̀rọ̀ ìtẹ́ ìsọ̀rọ̀ ìta lójú wá tẹ̀sí ní láti bí jìnnà pé torí kó sọ̀rọ̀ nípa ìsàkà ìṣẹ́ fáwọn yẹn lè máa sọ̀rọ̀ because you are too ẹ̀kọ́ yìí balẹ̀ pé kò sí nǹkan tó máa ṣe Islam. Is that not a contradictory thing? Ṣé ẹ máa contradict ara yín báyìí? Ṣé ẹ máa contradict ara yín? Ṣé aláwọ̀ lè gbèjà? Ṣé aláwọ̀ lè gbèjà ara ẹ̀ ni? Ìjọ òun lè àti tó ti ń fàdé pọ̀ jù. Àjọ tí ń fàdé pọ̀ jù ti ta gbogbo sẹ́lẹ̀tì mi lòkóso sẹ́ẹ̀lì. Tí lórí burúkú tí ó ti pè fún tí lórí burúkú lè fẹ́ táyé fẹ́ bàjẹ́ ni.
I said something yesterday. Sherry, when they say ṣé aláwọ̀ lè gbèjà ẹ̀ ni, that is foreign to Islamic ideology. That's a Christian ideology. We do this thing in our religions where we transpose the ideal of one to the other with the assumption that they are all the same. They are not the same. You don't have any promise from Allah that you will fight, that you don't have to. Thank God, this man he knows what he's saying, but the truth of the matter is that they fight for the God. In Yoruba land, it's not so much about to be fair, people don't have that kind of conversation in terms of fighting for God anyway. But Christians don't have to Christians don't say the person you are fighting can also determine the weapons you're using. You don't call I want to say something that you may not like. I said it yesterday, but I didn't say it this way. When they went to pick him up, it was legal though. I know you don't want it to be legal. I know I'm sounding very like a terrible person. It was legal. They were working according to the law. This is why I say we have to be very careful. I'll use politics to explain what I'm trying to say. People ask me, why don't you talk about Fulani? You're talking about Igbo. You should talk about Fulani. I'm like, I cannot. Oh, you're afraid of them. It's not fear. They are not the same in terms of strategy. You don't see Fulani trying to play any side up. Fulani don't say side up. Fulani has a totally different strategy that the only way, or the major way, is actually the only way, to be honest. But the primary way, I should say, the primary way to actually tackle Fulani is through policy. Why? They are sophisticated. See, you have to know the people you are telling back. They know, they understand politics. You don't have to like them. They built an empire. How many are they? 6% of the population. How are they able to hold on to about 23, 26% of today's population in Hausa land? How? A group like that, if they are doing something against what you are doing, there's a way you react. E.g., when they talked about colony, that's a policy issue. What did you do? We attacked that policy until our own governors came up with their own policy against that federal government's policy. I said, no, we're not going to have any cattle herding in our streets. All across the southwest, you can't see, if they catch you, they are carrying you and your malu to police station. That's from us. It is a policy from government predicated upon our own response to what they were trying to do. And what they were trying to do, if you also look at it very well, was based on policy. They don't do side up. They don't go on social media and saying, let's change history, let's rewrite history. If they want to write anything, it's usually in the place they've conquered. Like they're trying to do in Ilorin. Which a lot of people do when they conquer places. They try to write the history in such a way that that's left between them and the original owners of the land. The Igbos, on the other hand, will change your history while being the losers. In other words, they lost the war, but they'll change your history. All over the world, victors determine history. In Nigeria, now, victim, loser, they determine your history. Going with propaganda as its major tool of operation, not policy, propaganda. Those people, you can't say, oh, we're waiting for the government. If you do, you're going to lose your young people because they'll believe what the nonsense they're saying. That's why we talk about them more than we talk about Fulani. It's not because of fear. The same way, if people are insulting Christians and Christians want to, what's the word now? You want to compare that with the way you're going to insult them, you may lose. Because strategically, Christians don't fight you like that. In terms of now say, okay, we are going to destroy you. Excuse me. That's why you have that Yusuf mentioned, Yusuf that you mentioned. It will just be saying all kinds of things. Very, very ridiculously ignorant. Many of the things he says are just buffoonery, just talking rubbish. You know, and of course, there are Christians who will respond to him, but they'll come with books and say, yeah, this is what the Bible says. Then they will want to say Quran. But if you want to go against them, you can't go against them the way they are going against you. If you are not the Christian that they are insulting, if they insult traditional religion, the question people should be asking, I think is important. The question people that are going to traditional religion should be asking right now is this. In fact, let me say it this way. The people that to the elders who know the faith. And why do I say that? Unlike Christianity, where there is access to scriptures. You know, back in the day, and I think it's good to also mention this, back in the day, before the Protestant Reformation, access to the Bible was exclusive to priests. Okay? And the language of liturgy was Latin. So you came to church, the priest told you what was inside the Bible, you believed it. As a matter of fact, when he begins to even talk in service itself, you know, they talk your language. In Latin, they speak. Minus, Dominus, you be just be Shoriba. Oh, but say no. Was Protestant Reformation that changed the trajectory. Right? And this is not to say, I'm not trying to explain whether Catholicism is something or Protestant are this. I'm just trying to tell you what happened that makes it different in Christianity. By the time the Protestants came, you had people like Martin Luther saying that we've got to actually, I mean, he translated the Bible, the New Testament first, into German. That was untold. That was unheard of. When Tyndale translated the Bible into English language in England, he got in trouble. People, this long before King James Version, no, there were other versions before that one, where people were trying to translate the Bible into their own language. They were killed for it. But eventually, you got to the point where many people embraced the Protestant Reformation. And if anybody says anything right now, I can tell you, go and read converge. I can tell you, read Psalm, this verse, this, Isaiah, this verse, this, read Matthew chapter, this verse, this. You can't say that with traditional religion. You can't say it with Ifa. I have Ifa books. I have a lot of them. And I'm actually happy with what's happening right now because now we can access, but it's not as ubiquitous as what you have in the scriptures. Therefore, the Babalawo are still the primary custodian of not just the mysteries, but even the text. Which is why whenever we have conversations, not here by the way, other places, and we talk about the democratization of knowledge, and people say things like, oh no, they must not let it go out, it must be conserved. I'm like, you don't even know what you are trying to protect, or you don't know it. Thankfully, some of the educated people like Professor Wanda Bimola and the rest of them have been gracious enough, and before, even from Bascom in 1969, from Lijadu in 1920s, okay, Lijadu was even the first person. From then on, they will do, like, you see some SFR, only Ejogbe, only Korishirishi Odu Sibesha, but you don't have that total compilation. Which means, and it's good because you can, in a way, not access, but it's bad in terms of you don't have democratization of the idea. But that's not the conversation today. What I'm saying basically is this: if people are attacking you a certain way, which is what they're doing now, which is the way to respond, I think, and if I'm wrong, let me know, but I think this is the way to respond. Talk to the leaders, the ones who have access to the text, and ask them, in situations like this, how do we go about it? If they now say you should go about it the way you are doing it, then you now continue doing it. But this whole idea of using what you learned from extreme Islam against Islam, now that you are on this side, and saying that you are fighting for this side, I think it might be counterproductive eventually. What's going to happen is this: you're going to destroy each other. That's the truth. You will destroy each other. I hope that never happens. What I just said right now is a very, very deep statement. You will destroy each other, because you will destroy each other. Unless there's a spiritual backing in your own faith with what you are doing. Because what you are doing is antithetical to what you say you believe in. Someone says, have you watched any of the MS of our life? It's what I'm saying. It's not that. Don't worry. I don't like mentioning people on the stage, for personal reasons. But I'll say this: what a lot of people are doing is not what I advocate, but what they are doing, they have a right to do it. In other words, they want to point out the holes in Islam. They want to discredit the religion so that, your Bible will stop believing in it, because they discovered that there are some issues with it. Fair enough, but that's not my own business. My business is that I want to encourage Yorubas who are Muslims to hold on to what makes them unique in the committee of Muslim people. Because these people are always insulting Yoruba Muslims. What they are doing, they cannot do it in Dubai. Their bad day UAE. You are speaking against the religion. Do they do it in UAE? I don't know. Are you more Muslim than the Emiratis? If you look at the way we practice, and I say we, even though I'm not a Muslim, if you look at the way we practice Islam in Yoruba land, it's almost like those guys in UAE. So what I think I should do with the platform, and I may change my mind later, but for now, what I think should be done is to encourage Yoruba Muslims to stay on that path, where they're looking at development, they're looking at making society better, what they're contributing to it like they've done in the past. They keep doing that rather than switching to the side when they want to make us look like Afghanistan. But what the other guys are doing, and they also have a right to do it, to be clear, I'm not saying that what they're doing is essentially wrong, is to say that the Afghanistan people are coming. Sorry, I don't mean Afghanistan. I'm saying the Afghan idea. I'm using UAE and Afghanistan as metaphors. I'm not saying the exact. You get the point. So, I want the extreme guys are coming from this side. You guys beware. These people are coming. This is what they are bringing. However, this is what they're also, the mistake I think they are making is the assumption that me, I don't know how you are going to be able to make friends with the people you are talking to like that. don't think they're trying to make friends. They're trying to, in quote, liberate people. See, everybody has his place. I'm just saying that Kasha Machele Sole. Ẹkáàbọ yòókù kìíní kàtó. Mi náà ní pẹ́lú ọ̀rọ̀ kìíní yìí lónìí.
ẹ tó láyé kò sí kan tẹ́lẹ̀ ṣe mo tẹ̀ kọ́ pé ẹ fẹ́ gbé mi náà mo gbọ́ pé ẹ ti list àwọn tẹ́ fẹ́ gbé ipe mi náà wà àwọn ayé tó bọ̀ ẹ máa yọ ṣé wẹ́n kan lè jẹ́ kí silence everybody Islam ẹ̀sìn tó lè mú dàgbàsókè bá mi Islam ẹ̀sìn ká fọmọ ká bá yé àwọn obìnrin jẹ́ ni ibù kí n má kà mọ́ mẹ́ta ní ó ti sáà ló ti tó ti dòdòdò ẹ̀mí àwọn méjì ìyàtọ̀ ìlú bẹ́ẹ̀.
Islam that way. You have to cover everything. Women are this, women are that. If you think about it, he has a point. This guy is actually quite brilliant on this matters. I've heard him speak a number of times. He knows exactly what he's saying. But we also have to remember that there's a way Yoruba people have been doing this. So can we keep... And maybe I'm going to ask you, I'm even asking you, so you can let me know, is there encourage Yoruba people to stay on that path that is more enlightened than the one that's calling everything haram? Everything is haram. Everything is haram. I'll say something before I go back to this place. 2001. I think I mentioned it here before. I was in Ikirun, Oshogbo, Ilorin, went to do research. And one of the things we're talking about has to do with culture, influence of Yoruba and Islam, and so on and so forth. That's why I said this issue of Islam, we were doing it as students. It's just that we just, it is well. Anyway, we got there, and the more we probed, the more we discovered that even in Ilorin, even in Ilorin, the Yoruba people have been able to, in a way, maybe not all of them clearly, they've been able to create an oasis that is a type that is different from the Jagidi Jagan. Because I saw them like, even in this Ilorin, this is the way they are doing something. Then that means that, and Ilorin now, we always know what Ilorin stands for in terms of one be Islam, one Muslim, Muslim. By the way, Ilorin is not a Muslim town. Ilorin is a secular city, it's a Yoruba town. Some people will get angry with that. That's okay. There are Christians in Ilorin, there are churches in Ilorin. Bishop W. Depo, he started the church in Ilorin before he moved to Kaduna. Started the ministry in Ilorin before they moved to Kaduna, before he now moved to Lagos. Chotalik Boye, Rema Chapel is in Ilorin. Even Biodun Fatoyinbo of Koza is also from, grew up, started the church in Ilorin. Ilorin has a lot of churches. When you hear them talk on social media, you think that there is no Christian at all in that place. Everybody is a Muslim. It's not that though. But the point I'm trying to make is sure that there are Muslims in that place with all the PR, Islam. Isaac Omoleyin, thank you, Mr. Ola. Isaac Omoleyin is also in Ilorin. There are many big churches in Ilorin. They have crusades in stadium in Ilorin. No, Obadare is not from Ilorin. Obadare is Ilesha. But Obadare is Ijesha now. Yeah. But I'm not to the program Ilorin. But what I'm saying basically is that only bio by this is my own advice to all of us. And let's encourage. Oh, okay, thank you, sir. Let's encourage the Yorubas amongst us to stick to that path that looks at enlightenment rather than revert to haram. We're now having a conversation about haram. I say everything's haram. So somebody was saying that music is haram in Islam. It's haram. But we're talking to some not old Desha, but women who were into traditional music, which has also been influenced by Islam. And what they said, and we also talked to some Islamic scholars, what they said was that what they are saying is the interpretation, is their own interpretation of a particular verse. And that thing is a sectarian thing. It's not something that all of them. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm trying to explain to the rest of us. There's not something that that every Muslim subscribe to. That they think that the idea of everything is haram is not essentially what Islam represents. It's just what that sect is preaching. But when I look at it as an outsider, or I listen to those who are teaching, and I say Islam is like this, Islam is like this, they are right that a part of Islam does that. But I think we should also be very tactful not to assume that if in Ilorin people can tell us that 25 years ago, our students researching, then there's something to pick out of that. Because as Olano, Fuji is essentially Muslim, because aside from Wiri, you have Fuji, you have Waka, Sakara. Most of the people are Muslim. Meanwhile, people orinu àwọn kan den so nsin pe orinu Islam haram ni ọ̀ràn iná ló ń lọ Christian náà lọ luna mi mọ̀ tó tẹ̀ dọ́rùn bọ̀ gan sef ẹ ṣàkà gbọ́ yòókù. So I'm just saying that it's not everybody tó ń mu bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn. Someone says it's not about subscribing to it, it's what the book says. You don't. I'm not saying it's not in I'm not saying it's not in the book. I'm saying that their own explanation to us back then is that is the interpretation of that sect, the interpretation of the text in their book by that sect. Someone says the book is terrible now, Prof. I have a question for you. Is it the same book people in UAE are reading? Listen, I have a religious perspective. I'm a Christian, no. Make no mistake, so I know exactly, and I've told you some of the things I've read and what I think about Islam, and I've told you, that I've seen those things. I've been reading for a long time. However, I also see what Yoruba Muslims have done. But my question to you is this: that same book, show non loni Dubai, show non loni Abu Dhabi. It's a question we should all think about while we listen to this.
Lose identity. We will not be Yoruba anymore. UK. That's all right. That's all about Yoruba. Because I think won't be money to me, don't be me, won't be money, don't reach it. What might be so bad. I want to run some of the Yakaruma and the Yaki who are using. And continue being the facts. Our bank is surely put a share of there's a impact. Come on, believe it, mountains, those are as a pet. Don't yet. Come on, believe it, or need come on, believe it, or for Sikata, but there's only yet, over Sikata, only group of all to tuna, or to Bruto to Tona, and to Kaka, or don't know, because that's not like Sonia. That quick, are the time bad if I that, and then Papa on your jet, go out that only group. Mama goes to pass me, get it outside, some of the command was what you want, why was what you get, come up and saying, can't waste Lamu. But I will talk about the Baba, which I didn't realize, as he will not talk about his Lamu, was she? Come up down, come up down, come up down, and go out, was a bit, but I am one last moment, about them, but you really improves.
This guy was a Muslim. This guy is educated. He learned Arabic language. He speaks the language very well, not just for Quranic purposes or for Islamic purposes, but he actually understands the language. This is what happens when you used to be obedient. It's the same thing. When you leave, you just. There are other things, but I want to move away from this topic. My advice is the thing you are fighting. And I'm going to say it before I move on, please. I know I've been saying a lot. I'll be having these sessions from time to time because at this point, somebody else will also tell us another side. What you are fighting is real. If you're Yoruba who used to be a Muslim, what you're fighting is real danger. You are right to fight it. However, it is not mainstream, at least yet. the way to not make it mainstream, so that it doesn't become mainstream. I think the way people are fighting it, they are fighting it as though it is mainstream already. Thereby, and there are people that have this agenda, like what wrote in the comment section. Oh, Tony, there are people that have that agenda. Shall we listen to one yesterday that said that which is absolute nonsense, by the way. It's just stupid. Absolutely stupid. Stupid statement in here. Stupid statement in here. You need, pay attention to this, please. You need Yoruba Muslims to counter the incursion of these extremist ideas. Don't alienate them in the name of you are awake and you have discovered something that is not going to become mainstream. Someone said we cannot allow them to make it mainstream. The way not to allow them to make it mainstream is to work with Yoruba Muslims, not by insulting all of them and cursing out their God. What you're doing, you're going to get some people that will change their religions. I really not there in Kessan, wọ́n ti kókò sínú àwọn ọmọ láti kékeré, àwọn ẹni tí wọ́n dàgbà wọ́n ti bínú. Àwọn ẹni tí dàgbà sí in their 20s, in their 30s, they are angry because wọ́n ti fi ọmọ máa sọ pé ẹ jẹ́ ká fi ìfẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀. Ìfẹ́ nǹkan tó ń ṣe ni kò fi sínú ọmọ, kì í ṣe ẹ̀tanú fún nǹkan tó ń ṣe. Whatever you're doing, let the love for that thing be the basis of your engagement, not hate for what you are not doing. Because the day that child or that young person or the people you are talking to with hate, the day something happens to them in their life, that hate is how they're going to be moving out in life. They will be moving around with hate. My point, Sha, is that if we don't want to make this thing mainstream, we need to also work with Yoruba Muslims who are the UAE Dubai kind of mindset. Like your president is a Muslim, for crying out loud. Tinubu is a Muslim. Does he look like an Afghanistan person to you? Someone said using UK as an example, Yoruba Muslims are not going to do anything. No. How do you compare oranges and lakpa? It's not even agbalumo, lakpa. How did you? What's the comparison? Let me ask you. Sorry, I don't want to stay on this topic for too long. Someone says Muslims can't fight Muslims. No. Muslims have stopped Muslims in Yoruba land, though. This is the same problem with all this Sena climb argument. Do you know the history of Islam in your own Yoruba land? It's not today's topic, Sha. What do you mean Muslims cannot stop Muslims? Muslims have stopped Muslims here before. They will not be attacked. Oh, the thing, number one, you guys don't want to listen, but me, I'll keep talking because somebody has to hear to the point where we raise like a critical mass that gets to the point where they can have conversation with Yoruba Muslims without necessarily seeing as though they are trying to listen. I'm a Christian. I want you to become a Christian, but I don't do that by sitting and say, okay, let me tell you all the things that is wrong with your Quran. If you do that, it will work for some people, to be honest. Some people are going to change and just drop Islam. Like this lady that, let me play something. There's this lady.
Islam ẹni kí ni reason gbogbo bíi 2 weeks tí wọ́n fà á ní ò bá wọn dá sí ìgbà tó wà di wípé kọ́ máa túmọ̀ orúkọ ni mo wá ń gbọ́ tí wọ́n sọ wípé mini Mariam gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń jẹ́ Mariam kẹgbẹ́ Mariam náà lèmi náà jẹ́ wọ́n wá ní mini èmi tó ẹ̀ ti change orúkọ mi as from today mo ti change orúkọ mi wọ́n wá ní mini Mariam ní ìbànújẹ́ kó tẹ́ ń ṣọmọ ìbànújẹ́ wọ́n ní ìbànújẹ́ so wọ́n tún wá tún sheriff dín wọ́n ní sheriff wípé ìjàbẹ́ ìgbà kan tó fi ń kọ oúnjẹ tí bá tún ayé wá ní ìgbà ẹgbẹ̀rún ọdún mi ò ní yà sí Islam mi ì lè ever ṣe Islam ní ayé mi tí màá fi kú. ẹjọ́ tó yọ lọ́wọ́ àwọn táwa sọmọ ní Àmínà tí nǹkan ẹjọ́ kí ni ìtumọ̀ Àmínà ká ní mo mọ ẹ̀yin tẹ́ sọ mí lórúkọ ká ní ẹ̀ tí ì kú ni wàhálà máa gbé yín wá sórí social media máa dẹ̀ fi yín rí ẹ ti ṣòfò ẹ wo bí mo ti ń tú ẹ̀ ayé yín ti bàjẹ́. These are the issues.
You get to the point where you curse your own parents for what they gave you a name you don't like. I'm telling you, you are raising extremists against extremism. You are both extremists. Everybody just raising. No, Miriam does not mean devoted to God, though. Miriam actually means bitterness. So if we want to talk about it, Miriam means she's right. The meaning of the name is not beloved. Don't come and go and don't. They'll tell you that you're doing takia now, and it looks like takia, to be honest. It's the same thing with Mary. Mary means bitterness. However, when pass, one sọ lórúkọ èèyàn ni. Wọ́n sọ ní túmọ̀ orúkọ yẹn. Ṣó yẹ yín nǹkan tí mo sọ? Èèyàn lè wo òṣùṣùn kọ pé ta ni mo fẹ́ràn Olúmúyìwá. Kó pe ọmọ Olúmúyìwá. Bóyá wọ́n jọ ṣọ̀rẹ́ àbí Olúmúyìwá ràn lọ́wọ́ nígbà kan. Excuse me. Ó wá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí pé ọmọ tiẹ̀ ní Olúmúyìwá. Ó lè má mọ̀ túmọ̀ èèyàn kan ní kò yé mi. Okay, mo máa ṣàlàyé ẹ̀. Kẹ́pẹ́ ìsìn yìí. Ẹ kẹfẹ́ mi ṣàpẹẹrẹ. My dad named me Adebusuyi. He named me for somebody. All right? He named me for somebody. That person was important to him. He liked the person and they gave me royalty adds to honor. Adebusuyi. So I work with the meaning. But I don't curse my dad for naming me after a person. Most of the people, and this is why we have to be very careful with this thing we are raising in Yoruba land. You are cursing your parents for what? They gave you a name. And so what? Do you not have enough sense to change the name if you want to change it? The mother probably named you Miriam after somebody. And Miriam, Mary is the same thing. It depends on the language you're using. Miriam is, by the way, Miriam is M-A-R-I-M. M-A-R-I-A-M. Some people also call it M-A-R-Y-A-M. But you can find it in Arabic, in Hebrew, in Aramaic, and it's the same meaning as Mary. But when your parents were giving you that name, it's not because they look at you and say, bitterness lo maje, ìbànújẹ́ lo maje. They probably named you for somebody else. Like, they saw a person whose name was Mary or Miriam, and like, because of that person, Miriam. They were sick, baby. But generally speaking, I don't think a person will tó o bá dàgbà tó wá rí pé ìtumọ̀ nǹkan tó jẹ́ lélẹ̀, you can change the name. When you get to the point, we have to be careful. When you get to the point where you begin to curse your parents, you are gone. I don't care what they did wrong. You can disagree. Are you a man? My father used to say something when we were younger. Someone said there are several meanings. Yes, it means drop of the sea, it means bitterness, it means rebellious. It's the same word as Mara. If you know the word Odo Mara, to Akilo Korintio Agbeni Ikono, Odo to Kondele Padaju. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọ̀rẹ́ mo gba aláìsàn àánú ni by kílókọ̀ boy Manuel BC Manuel. Maybe it now means beloved, but originally me already beloved. Even if you read Strong's, maybe it now means that shall. But what I'm saying basically is that ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ orúkọ tó ń fún wa kí pé bí a tó pé àwọn òbí yẹn mọ̀ túmọ̀ ẹ̀ wọ́n kàn lè rí nǹkan tó ń fẹ́ràn kan fi pè ẹ́ kò túmọ̀ sí pé kò wá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ṣépè fún ọdẹ pò tí wàá ní ìmọ̀ wọn náà ló dẹ̀ ní ìmọ̀ wọn ló ní. You are saying one sọ pé you have never found out. This lady is saying they said she hasn't read it. It's not so cool, to be honest, because àwọn Lárúbáwá gan fún àwọn ọmọ bẹ́ẹ̀. DSS, it became beloved because of Jesus' mom, possibly. Interestingly, 4th century BC, Mary was a very common name. Mary was a very common name. If you look through the Bible, you see Mary a lot. There's Mary, the mother of Jesus. There's Mary, the mother of, there's Mary Magdalene. There's Mary, I think the wife of Clopas. Then there's the mother of, the wife of Zebedee. I think it's also Mary. I'm not sure, but it's connected to Mary. You know. So all I'm saying, Sha, is that let's not get to the point where we now begin to insult. Someone says it means beloved too. Maybe it means beloved, but to be honest, you know what? 1 second, let me check. Because you see, when you're doing Bible study, you have to look for meaning of names. And I did meaning of names a long time ago. I know Mary means bitterness. It's like this lady too, Naomi. You know, we all know that time about form Moloroko work, he wrote to someone says bitter, beloved, rebellious, drop. So I know bitter, I know rebellious, I know drop. I never know that beloved is also part of the meaning. Maybe it's a recent ad though, because that's Leo is negative. But in your country, say, I hope Jesus, but one common, but not something. Kí ló máa ń pè wá? Ẹ ká test kìíní in the comment section. Tẹ́ bá rí anybody tó bá jẹ́ Samson kékeré as a Yoruba person, what do you call that person? Samson kí ló máa sọ sí lẹ́yìn? I want to take a break for a very. Once you hear Samson, what's the next thing you say as a Yoruba person? God bless you, FFT. Thank you. You don't know the meaning of that name. Samson Alagbara. Samson Alagbara. Why? We're not talking about the meaning. We're talking about the person. Meanwhile, the word Samson is not actually it is a good name, but it is not what. So I think that's what happens with names. All of that to say that I played that last clip because Sherry, think about Nemo. And I want to advise all of us. We are all growing. We are all learning. And I've said this before. When you discover certain things, you get angry. It's a natural reaction. But here's the thing. You have to finish that process of your anger before you go on social media or before you talk to anybody. My advice. You be angry with those who taught you. You be angry with your parents. You be angry with society. Then lastly, and you should be angry with yourself. If you never got angry with yourself, you will have problem. Why any problem? Because you'll be insulting everybody for your own ignorance. You also have to be angry with yourself, if possible. In other words, you'll be like, well, I went through it and this was my own process. And I think it's something I've noticed across different people. So that's what I'm using like as though it's a formula. But it might be different for you. But generally speaking, you have to take responsibility. That's what I mean by angry with yourself. You have to take responsibility for your own ignorance so that you don't take it out on others and be cursing people out on social media. How come they didn't teach me this? How come my parents did not teach me this? Society did not teach me. School did not teach me. Then you now calm down. How come I did not know this? I mean, let's stop blaming them. How come I didn't know this? And if I didn't know this until this moment, how many other things do I not know? It calms you down. So you resolve it. And then you begin to now appreciate the knowledge, appreciate what you came into, appreciate the knowledge they gave you, appreciate the knowledge your parents gave you in order for you to find this knowledge. Even though your parents did not give you this knowledge, without the one they gave you, you'll not be able to see this thing. Therefore, you cannot curse them. You have to thank them because now about any ABC, secondary school, you won't have enough sense to be able to access what you're now accessing. So you see, you were angry in the beginning. At the end, you're now grateful. With that sense of gratitude, when you come out to teach, you're not teaching bitterness. Bitterness is a lot of things that you are saying on social media, you have to resolve it on your own, in the corner of your room, with tears if possible. Just do it on your own. Cry, be angry, regret, change your mind, be grateful, then come out. If you do anything that has to do with knowledge without gratitude, you will kill people. If you take any position without gratitude, you will kill people because you'll be looking for a way to make up for the lack, which is a product of your ignorance. Because as far as you're concerned, it has nothing to do with you. You are blaming every other person. See what they should have done. They should have done this. They didn't do this. You unko, Ogatoba, more basic things. We're not going to take responsibility for that. It's your parents. Haba. Oh, thank you, Ajeni Yami. Oh, thank you. At least you are here. Don't be cursing out your parents because you came up. And what did you know? And there's a name, you just discovered the meaning. What if you now go deeper into the Quran itself and find out things? Please, let's be balanced. It's going to be a long ride. We'll be having these conversations from time to time. Let's move on now. We'll have people come up later. Someone says, let me just read some comments before we go on. So I will take a break. Omotola says, when I disconstructed from Christianity, I didn't attack anyone. Well, hopefully, that was probably because you were able to resolve. We have to go through that phase. Trinity says that she's cursing her parents speaks volumes of abuse she might have gone through in her life. It also speaks that she's not ready to speak out. There are things, there are anger, you have to resolve some things. You don't resolve things in public. There's some shows they do in the US. People just come. I don't know if you see those shows. They talk about relationships. People just come be talking about their family issue, their sex life. I'm like, don't you have shame? You'll be talking about everything they are going through as though talking about it in public is what brings healing. No, now. Say it speaks to abuse. Who has not been abused in this life? Thank you, Koboko, Jerry Springer Show. Who brought somebody up? No. Moderator Ologbe was okay. Between Jerry Springer Show. We should calm down. Nǹkan tí ìkọta yìí máa kọ́ tó bá lè ṣe ń kọ́ sí èèyàn máa bí ṣùgbọ́n nǹkan tẹ́mi mọ̀ ni pé tó bá ti dé point ẹ pé ẹ ti resolve, you go from anger, disappointment to responsibility and then gratitude. Once you get to that point, you begin to enjoy knowledge. If you never resolve it, no matter what you know in life, you'll be bitter. That resolution might take you a day, might take you a week or a month, but it's important to go through that before you start talking to people about something you know. Anger must move on to responsibility. It must end with gratitude before you begin to teach. Until then, let everybody calm down. What you are discovering is not new. It's new to you. Trinity, if it's at the point of anger, it's not on social media. You're not listening. You guys excuse bad behavior. This anger, and people get to this point and raise followers. You'll be shocked. They're at the point of anger. They've never taken responsibility for anything, but at anger level, they will go out and begin to get followers because they're also angry. And that level, the only thing they can do is to destroy. They say they are teaching themselves something. They are teaching themselves how to destroy something. There's nothing stopping anybody. There's no inhibition. There's no balance. It's all, I have a right. They've done this to me. I must do something about it. That is not how you can build a society. Any clown can do that. And I'm not saying this like, I'm not blaming the person or us. All of us have gone, some of us are still going through it. I'm talking like this. Isn't everything I know? There are things I still discover, but let me tell you, no matter what I discover right now, I don't curse people out because the hard part, I went through it already. If you need physical support, if you need psychological support, offer it to our Trinity. I'm not a psychologist. You have a lot of people leading people right now in religion, in movements, ethnic movement, even Yoruba, Yoruba, activism is born out of anger. They just angry, and that anger is important, but it's not. It has to be resolved. And if you get your mic and you have influence, it might take another 15 years before you're able to resolve it, because now you have a lot of people following you. You're also talking, they're listening to you, they're saying yeah. Anger. Sorry, you discovery. That's actually the process. There's discovery. There's anger. There's responsibility. There's gratitude. and then you now become a voice. If you jump any of those things, now kata kata it will cause for all of us. May God bless everybody. I think I should actually write that down. I've thought about this for years. This started when I read a particular book many years ago. Have you read books that made you cry? Have you read books that made you cry? I mean, you read some like crying. You read some books you are shaking. You read some books you are crying. You read some books you are angry. But all of it must end with gratitude. 1 second. I'm going to read some comments and then we'll go on to other things. Motola says yes, exactly. All right, let's read some things here on YouTube and on Facebook. Boom. Ìmọ̀ bínú o, fẹ́ change kìíní kó ba lè ṣe é ṣe fún wa. Hello? Can you hear me now? You know what? 1 second. You can hear me now. Thank you very much for staying tuned. Sorry about the distractions. We're going to get into other things now. 1 more second and then we can get started. Mambo. Ọlọ́run kò jẹ́ gbogbo ẹ̀dá. Gbogbo tá à ń ṣe náà àtẹ̀yìn tí ẹ̀ ń sọ̀rọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ń sọ̀rọ̀ ní comment section àtàwọn tá à ń sọ̀rọ̀ náà kó bà lè dáná ló wà lọ́kàn gbogbo wa. Ṣùgbọ́n ká kí kọ́lọ́run fún wa ní ọgbọ́n ìmọ̀ àti òye láti ṣe. Kó má kàn jẹ́ pé à ń bínú nìkan. Ṣùgbọ́n ká lè kọ́, ká lè gbé ilẹ̀ wa lárugẹ. Nǹkan tó jà jù nìyẹn. Igbos are just here insulting me. Ṣé wọ́n ṣépè fún yín ni? Arogidigba, thank you so much. Kabiru Raji Yunusa says the meaning of Maryam in Islam is purity, devotion, and righteousness. Number one, the name is not an Islamic name. It is not an Islamic name. It's an Arabic name. Religion does not have any names. There's no Esiabalaye name. There's no Muslim name. There's no Christian name. It's a language. The linguistic is based on the culture, not on the religion. bá ṣe ń yọ ọkọlẹ ẹnu mi tún gbé tiẹ̀ wá kí gbogbo ilé ètò rẹ̀ Ọlọ́run. Say if your name is Jacob, is a Christian name. Jacob cannot be a Christian name. It's a Hebrew name. They are not Christian names. But in so in Thomas or Thomas Margaret in the Christian name. Margaret that you can't even find in the Bible. Some say they are religious. They are not religious names. I thought everybody knew this. You are still arguing in the comment section. They are not religious names now. Okay, give me an example, Panther. Let me learn from you. Give me 99 names of Allah are religious names. Is it the religion that created the name or the language? It's not from the language they got the name. Orúkọ àwọn Ebéèrú. Ebéèrú is a people, is a group of people, is an ethnicity. Hey, I'm asking, come back to our religion. They are no Islamic names, though. They are Arabic names. The names are based on the culture, not based on the religion. 1 second, we're having some issues. Someone says they will say baptism names. Baptism names are even funny. Some people use baptism name and they say Alice. Alice is an English name. They'll call it baptism name. That one is colonialism now. It's colonialism. It's, say your name is Margaret. Is Elizabeth. How can Elizabeth be somebody's baptismal name? There are a lot of, we mix a lot of things up, Sha. We mix a lot of things up. Someone will say Abraham is Christian or Islamic name when the name exists before the religion. It's not even a Judaist name, because we have to understand that culture creates religion, and religion is a subset of culture. Religion is not superior to culture. 1 second, please. I'm having some issues with TikTok. That's why I'm pausing. Okay, we're good. Culture ló bí ẹ̀sìn. Ẹ̀sìn kan ló bí àṣà. Ṣùgbọ́n ara àṣà lẹ̀sìn wà. Tó máa pè hàn ní Olúmúyìwá ń sìn. Kì í ṣọ̀rọ̀. Èèyàn kan kọ́kọ́ táwọn kan sọ pé tó bá ti rẹ́ nìkan tó bá ti ń jẹ́ olú kìíní kan ẹ̀wọ̀n pé gbà mí nà àwọn ìmọ̀ta máa mọ̀ ẹ̀kọ́ lọ́n ṣàánú ni ẹni àwọn tó ń sin ṣàpọ̀nà ni. Torí pé wọ́n á pè ṣàpọ̀nà ní ọba lọ ayé. Ṣé wọ́n tó mọ̀ pé ìyẹn kàn dédé orúkọ yẹn kàn tẹ̀lé? You don't know that those things were created by men? Allah ṣàánú wa. But Miriam is not an Islamic name. It's interesting. It's actually Hebrew before Arabic concept, because where you find it in Hebrew, you find it in Arabic, you find it in Aramaic, in those languages. But it's a language from the Kenya. Someone says Ogunseyi Nko. It's a Yoruba name. However, you will find it mostly among people tó ń bọ Ògún. But Ògún fúnra rẹ̀ kì í ṣe orúkọ Yorùbá ni. I know where you're going. But Ogunseyi is Ogun name. But Ogun gangan tá fi pé àpèjá orúkọ yẹn ṣe bí Yorùbá lòun náà. So tí n bá pé èèyàn kan sìn ó ń jẹ́ Musiliu. I know it's an Arabic name. But it doesn't mean that that person is a Muslim. Yes, you may go and say, oh, Toma want to Bogun. That's a job. But only man Yorùbá padà where you jẹ́ pastor. Ṣùgbọ́n Ògún tó forúkọ Yorùbá náà ni. Anyway, Miriam in Arabic and Hebrew does not mean purity. I don't know. This is what they call takia that people also complain about. I've spent enough time on Islam and now. Let's go back to our other topic. Adidozi says before Muhammad was born, his father was Abdullah. It's an Arabic name. It's an Arabic name. I think because, and it's what people do. I don't know the meaning of Ogun, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have any meaning. I don't know the meaning of Ogun. I have an idea, but I'm not sure. So I'm not going to tell you because it's an idea. So I'm not going to say I know the meaning of Ogun. But it's a word. It has a meaning. And some words, the meanings of some words may have been lost over time. No. God of Iron is not the meaning of Ogun. It's the appellation of Ogun. The idea of God of Iron that we're using, right? Oh boy, we are going to get to, like yesterday again, we have to go to ethnic nationalities. So we don't see Ogun as God of Iron, no. The concept of God of Iron is colonial. Our view as Yoruba people of Ogun is, so let me give an example. In most societies in Yoruba land, not all, but in most societies in Yoruba land, Ogun, àwọn tó máa ń bọ Ogun, àwọn tó máa ń ṣe àwọn iṣẹ́ kan ni, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ mo fẹ́ béèrè pé irú iṣẹ́ wo ni ẹ rò pé ó máa jẹ́? Àwọn olú máa ń bọ Ogun, mo fẹ́ fi ṣàpẹẹrẹ nǹkan kan ni o. Ẹ má bínú, ọ̀rọ̀ yìí, ṣé nígbà míì ó gbọ́ Nàìjíríà yìí ká máa sọ̀rọ̀ sí Yorùbá náà lẹ́ẹ̀kọ̀ọ́. In fact, kì í ṣe lẹ́ẹ̀kọ̀ọ́ ní gbogbo ìgbà. Àwọn olú máa ń bọ Ogun. Àgbẹ̀dẹ, iron blacksmith, hunters, ọdẹ, exactly. Mbo. Here's a question. Ó ṣe jẹ́ pé àwọn náà ń bọ Ògún. Thank you. Àgbẹ̀dẹ, ọdẹ, thank you. Ó ṣe jẹ́ pé àwọn náà ń bọ Ògún. Kí ló dé tí onídìrí ò kí ń bọ Ògún? I want to quickly show us something, and we can go deeper into this some other time, but I've ever thought about it. Someone says, because they work with iron, God bless you. Because they deal with iron, because of the iron, God bless you. Now, we are going somewhere, so we know that there is a specific, I'm not saying this is the general thing. In some places, you have an entire place worshiping Ogun or venerating Ogun, but generally speaking, Yoruba land, àwọn alágbẹ̀dẹ, bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe sọ, àwọn ọdẹ, àwọn tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú rìn. Thank you very much. Second question. Kí ló dé tó ṣe jẹ́ pé irin yẹn ló ní ṣe pẹ̀lú Ògún tó fi wá fi ń bọ Ògún? So we have asked two whys. We asked the who are the people that do it? Why do they do it? You're right. Now, why is it that he's the one they attach that thing to? I guess you're not serious. Someone says fidelity. No, what I'm saying is that why is it that they connect that worship or that item to Ogun? Why is it that number one, like you said, drivers, hunters, blacksmith, so you're right. Why? Because they work with iron. Another why is it that iron you're not only shape or more? Someone said because it was the goldsmith. You tried. Yes, close. Ogun pioneered the use of iron from raw materials. Thank you very much. That's why. Ogun was an inventor, was a technologist, right? He was somebody who could fashion things from iron ore. You could create all kinds of things from iron. And so naturally, those who were in that, think of it like a guild. Like a guild. Look at him like an innovator. If you read the book, A History of the Yoruba by Siviji Banji Akintoye, it tells you about how iron ore was discovered in Yoruba land, the process that even included our women, by the way, which also, it takes you back to pottery, but that's another conversation on its own. But the point is, we're going somewhere, please stay with me. Look at these people as a guild, and the person they look up to as the most important person or the most innovative person in that field. There's a spiritual aspect to this, so you can talk about that some other time. I'm just trying to bring us to the fact that our parents were spiritual, but they also have sense. So think of it like a guild. And àwọn tó ń lórin láti ṣiṣẹ́, bẹ́ẹ̀ tó ṣe jù, tó rí ẹ̀ yọ jù láàrin gbogbo ẹgbẹ́. Ṣebí Ifá ní èèyàn ní dòrìṣà, ó ní Ògún tẹ́ rí yẹn, or tẹ́ rí òun kí n bá lo ohun Ọ̀yọ́. Ogun tẹ́ ẹ rí un nígbà tó báwo náà yẹ sọ́nà nígbà tó ṣiṣẹ́ nígbà tó lágbára ni wọ́n sọ dòṣà. So the point is that he became that thing based on what he did. So they looked up to him like a patron. I'm using the Oyinbo, even though I don't like using Oyinbo in this particular matter, but just to, it will help all of us better. Look at it like the patron saint of that guild. So if you worked in that field, you would respect him or look up to him. For instance, if you want to go into politics in Yoruba land today, who will be your patron saint? Please write in the comment section if I know a lot of you already know the answer. You want to go into politics in Yoruba land, who is our patron saint of politics? Awolowo. That's it. Thank you. It's the same thing. Can we not decide to be worshipping or venerating Awo? Every time I want to talk and I say, Papa, there's a reason I'm doing that. Every time I'm talking and I'm saying something and I'm deferring, that's what I'm doing. I'm acknowledging something. Even if I don't have to pour a pour or anything, I'm acknowledging the fact that he is the... You know, you can channel... This thing is deep. Oh. That's what they do with Ogun. Another question. There's something I want to say, but I'm not going to say it. You can channel some things, but it's not today's conversation. Think about it. Why is it that of all the things they use when they want to venerate Ogun, it is Ekpo and Iri? Why are they always pouring the Ekpo on the Iri? It tells us something. It tells us that, number one, the primary tool in that field is iron. But what you use in working with the iron is lubricant. The lubricant is the Ekpo. Irin kò ní dógùn. Even the name is even part of pé kí nǹkan rust. Kó dógùn, kó padà síbi tó ti wá. Wọ́n forí ẹni ọ̀hún, wọ́n tún fi sọ pé kíní ẹ̀ ti padà because iron is from the earth. Ó dógùn, kó má bàa dógùn, wọ́n á tepo sórí ẹ̀. There's a spiritual side. Again, see, I don't say these things to say there's nothing spiritual about all these things. I'm just telling you that there's also scientific things that you can see. So when you pour the oil on that thing, you're lubricating it. When people come around and say, you know, I've sort of politics in Nigeria and say, I can recognize Awo. And somebody comes from England and says, see the God of the God of politics. Awo is the God of politics. When we start saying what's the meaning of Awo, and we say he's God of politics, what we've done is that we have successfully bought into the interpretation of the outsider rather than look at things from within. And sometimes you can learn from the outsider, but the definition cannot be from him. Today I'm going to talk about the Port Harcourt thing eventually. Somebody asked the question the other day in the video, but we didn't get to it. Like, what did they used to call Port Harcourt? What did they used to call Port Harcourt before they called it Port Harcourt? People tell you it's Iguacha. But that's what the Igbos called it. But the question is, what do the people of the land call it? In naming, there's something called exonyms and then there's endonyms. Endonyms are names that you name things yourself, what you call yourself. Exonym is what people call you from outside. We'll get to that when we are discussing Port Harcourt much later. The point I'm trying to make is that when we do things, people will come from outside and say, that's the God of iron, or that's Awolowo is the God of politics. We know we are not worshipping him, but we know we put him on a pedestal as it should be. I don't see anybody that comes close. So if I want to talk politics, I read those books. The Igbo comes and says, that's the scripture. Try and understand how you can use religion to explain things that common sense can actually explain. Can you imagine? He has thoughts on Nigerian constitution. He has path to Nigerian freedom. He has voice of reason, voice of courage, voice of wisdom, all our speeches. That's the scripture. Hey, me no so. It's because he's the God of politics for these Yoruba people. That's why they're always reading our books, because they want to get inspiration from his scripture. They have successfully spiritualized what you're doing, which is basic philosophy, which is what they would do at home. They do philosophy, but they'll call your own spiritual. particularly because also our fathers then decided over time to have a veneer or a facade of spirituality over many of the things they were doing. Not because everything was spiritual, but because that was something they also needed to do. I don't want us to make that have that conversation today. Can we have it tomorrow so we can discuss ethnic nationalities today? I did this yesterday. I spent all the time talking about Yoruba. Can we continue this tomorrow? I'll stop here and say that what our fathers and mothers did was that over time they had to create spirituality as a cover for something much deeper. Let me give an example very quickly. If I say every time we come here, you know the funny thing, we do this thing on a daily basis on this platform. Every time we come here, when we are ending the session, we do Nigerian anthem, we do Yoruba anthem. That Yoruba anthem was composed by Awo. Was set to music by Baba Ogunde, but was composed by Papa Awo. He was one that wrote the lyrics. Baba ló kọ. So taba wa papọ̀ báyìí sìn ká kàwé Awo ká sọ̀rọ̀ nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ńsìn ṣebí nǹkan tá a máa ṣe ní church náà nìyẹn ká kàwé Awo ká sọ̀rọ̀ nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ńsìn what we are supposed to do in terms of politics, how we should get involved, and then we now end by singing the hymn that he wrote without the religious service, themed around Awo. Therefore, Awo is our god of politics. But we can do that and use it. You can have a spiritual cover. We can do something spiritual around it if we want to code some things, which is what our parents did. And I'll use one example. We'll go deeper tomorrow, I promise. You'll find this in the book by Professor Akinwumi Shola. Sorry, Akinwumi Ogundiran. I've had a conversation here before, but we're going to do it deeper tomorrow. They want to hide something, like they want to patent their inventions, and they don't want you to see it. And there's no other way to patent it. There's no patent rights. There's no trademark. They don't want the world to see it. So what they do, they create myths around the product and create a spiritual facade for what they're doing. When you come from the outside, all you see is worship. But within, they have something called Awo. In the Awo, they talk about the deeper things. The deeper things are not necessarily, they can be spiritual, but they can also be scientific. So for instance, if I have a worship kini around Awo, but there are deeper things I want to say, I will not create that worship feel. You say, Awo lowo ni. But we are doing that because we don't want you to access some things. But if you now come and join us and you go deeper in our school of thought, for instance, we're starting our summit very soon, Tribes of Ududua, 2 Summit. You now come into that kind of summit, you hear deeper things. We can now show you some things. And it's not spiritual, it's scientific or it's philosophical in this regard. All I'm saying is that the meaning of the name, can you imagine what I'm trying to say since? The meaning of the name is not necessarily the appellation you've given to the person. So Ogun, being god of iron, is something we were told. In reality, they will call him the patron saint of artisans, patron saints of the smith, and all who work with iron, or something like that. But so we have to also, there's a spiritual side to what I just said now. I'm not saying it doesn't exist though. I'm just telling you that there's a way to also understand. Before the spirituality was introduced, there's also only Ponsi Bekale. And the more you read books about, this is another thing, when you read Ifa books and books about Yoruba, it also gives you the idea that, okay, these men were smart. We'll talk about it deeper tomorrow. Let's go to the next thing so we can have that conversation today. We're going to begin with one of our fathers, Ambassador Yemi Farombi, at the Ethnic Nationality Conference. I hope we pick something from what the Turenchi I just said. It's one thing for you to have a not so pleasant voice. The other thing for you not to have not so pleasant ideas. Just talk, you feel as if you are transferring depression. Let's look for something that makes sense. Let's start with, so we're going back to, thank you, almost, thanks everyone. Whew. Let's go back to ethnic nationalities in Nigeria, the conference they had. We're going to talk about it today. We'll keep talking about it, listen to different groups. But we'll start by listening to one of our own father, one of our fathers, Ambassador Yemi Farombi, with his presentation at the conference that we've been talking about for some days now. Take a listen to Baba.
When people hear restructuring, they think it's a Yoruba agenda. Restructuring is not a Yoruba agenda, it's a Nigerian necessity. The truth is that every region is suffering under this unitary system. The Yorubas, whether they are called Omo Odua or they are called Alajobi or they are called Ile Odua, straight from Lagos to Ogun State, to Oyo, to Osun, to Ekiti, to Ondo, Kwara, and the Okun in Kogi State. The Yoruba are not asking for a special treatment. We only offer a template that worked. A template that talks of fiscal responsibility. Keep your money, develop your land. A template that embraces political dialogue. Talk first, fight last. A template that enhances cultural pride and national unity. Be Igbo and a Nigerian. Be Hausa and a Nigerian. Be Ijaw and a Nigerian. Be Fulani and a Nigerian. Be Angas and a Nigerian. Be Yoruba and a Nigerian. So let us put it into place, a template that enhances our cultural pride, our history, our spirituality, while promoting our national unity. From the Lancaster 1958 conference, of course, Nigeria had changed. Nigeria is not the Nigeria of 1958. We must always recognize that. Things have changed, but it has not changed the way we want. What we are doing is an intellectually motivated. Right. When something is intellectually motivated, emotions are not allowed. Facts are sacred. Let us work with facts so that we can be together a great Nigeria.
Peter Bishekini. All right, so that's Baba Yemi Farombi. Somebody says in the comment section that Baba must be 90 years old. Not yet. He's 82. Was born in 1944. He started his work in WNTV, WNBS in 1968, and was still 33 when he was general manager of NTA Ibadan. So yeah, NTA Ibadan in 68. But he started in WNTV, WNBS before he then before he then moved to NTA Akure. He eventually became ambassador to the Republic of Philippines, and I think he also did some work in Cambodia. But that's the perspective of Yoruba people. When you hear men like this, you understand the concept of Afeni Ferry. We are asking for Nkoto Dafunwa from the other people in Nigeria. And someone said in the comment section, how about the Sheki people? We didn't mention them. That's true. We mentioned Lagos, Oyo, Osun, Ogun, Ondo, Ekiti, Kwara, and Kogi, and Okun. He didn't mention Delta. He didn't mention folks in Edo. He was being smart. Let me tell you what happened during the Williams Commission of 1957 to 1958. It was the Shekiri people who said they want to be with these people. So what you discover is that when the eventual thing happens, I want to have a referendum, those people then say, this is what we want to do. So it won't be that you are the one who cut them into your group. You know in your heart that they're your brothers, but you also understand what's happening in Nigeria. So you let them make that thing. You not be one. It is different from people shouting, we own the land, it's our land, it's our place. When you talk like that, they know that they are desperate for something those people have. And to be fair, Wari has fantastic stuff, has oil, a lot of it. But you can't be seen as somebody who, like that's the reason you want to get it. And they will do it. They did it in 57, 58. It's in this book, and I'm going to read it later. I'll find that book. Shoot. The good thing is that we've had several sessions on this thing, so I made notes. So I'll probably just read from the notes, but I quoted those things. So I'm going to tell exactly what those things are. All of that to say that when the time comes for a referendum for such people, there will be someone. Your motor says they have Shikpa exactly. Shikpa meeting by, and they not state it, then it becomes easier for you to say, I want to talk about they don't come in. That's what we're saying that the other people should have done in the South instead of shouting all over the place. Let the people actually tell the world that we are your brothers, we want to be with you. Not just that you be shouting all over the place and disturbing the peace. Introduction to what we're going to listen to today, which has to do with the different ethnicities and the regions that are represented at the conference and the case each group made. So there's Ana Igala region. The speaker was Professor Lucy Jumei Ogbadu. And I think we can listen to that and also listen to Igbo today. We can only listen to one because of time. So let's listen to Igbo. We'll listen to something from Ana Igala. It's also very rich. And then we'll go to the Igbos. Please take a listen to this.
Operated the major company.
Sorry.
Afternoon to everyone. I am Lucy Jumei Ogbadu, and I'm here to represent the good people of ancient Igala Kingdom.
There's a lot of Hausa. Yes, the Hausas were also there. They also made the case. There's people from Savannah also made the case. So we'll listen to all of them. We won't finish today. We'll do some tomorrow. If you finish tomorrow, that's okay. If not, we'll continue. But we should hear from these groups. So this is the Professor Lucy from Igala.
We are here to request for an Igala region. We joined this movement only this year. The Liberty Group, we joined them only this year. And when we got to know the requirements for creation of regions, because I will not go through the issues of whether we are in support of creation of regions or federating units, because that is established. We are all in agreement that all of us here are in favor of we meet them. And so we felt that we should be able to put in for a region. Now the issue about creation of regions is not about landmass. It's not about population. It's about economic viability, it's about political sustainability, it's about linguistic and ethnic affinities, cultural affinities. And if you look at the map, at the back of your program, you will see the location of Ane Igala region. What you are seeing there as Ane Igala region is a minuscule fraction of what Ane Igala region should be. This is as a result of 200 years of fragmentation of that ethnic group. Beginning with the British, the European explorers, Ane Igala region was a formidable region, a powerful kingdom. In fact, one of the only 3 existing kingdoms in this region. The Igala kingdom, the Bini kingdom, and the Kanem Borno kingdom. Those were the kingdoms that existed before the coming of the explorers. So powerful was an Igala region, Igala kingdom, that if you go to the British archives, the documents in the British archives, this region is referred to Igala country. Igala country, that is the reference to this region. Now, after they arrived at the shores of this region, the Igala kingdom, as powerful as it was, mounted serious resistance. And you can understand because of their color difference, black and white. Seeing white people for the first time, they mounted enormous resistance to the incursion of the white people. And that was one of the reasons why they felt that if they did not balkanize this group, there's no way they were going to succeed in their mission. So the mission to balkanize the land began in earnest. And when that started, the Igala region was balkanized into 3. One province was merged with Onitsha. One was merged with Onitsha. In the south of this whole region, at that time there was nothing like Nigeria. The second part was merged with Nasarawa in the north, and the third part was merged with what they call Munchi region, Munchi province. Those of you who are familiar with the history of Nigeria will now know that that is where the thief people are today. So that is how that was not enough. They brought non-indigenous to serve as paramount rulers for the Igala people, just to make sure that they did not have a voice at all. So it is important I give you this background so that you know where we are coming from. So the fact that they have been relegating the Igala people, it did not start today. It is a legacy that was passed down. And I want to say that while we are all in agreement that we want to go the way of devolution of power from the center to the regions, those who are benefiting from the present system definitely will not agree. But it doesn't matter how many are they. From our own estimation, they are not more than 2%. So what we are talking about is that about 98% of us presently in Nigeria agree that power should move from the center to the region. Now, so organized was this kingdom, this system, that princes, Igala princes were sent to the districts affairs of the district, the governance in the district. And that is the reason why, if you look at the map again, we are so centrally located that we are related to all the surrounding regions presently. The Yorubas, we have a cultural affinity with the Yorubas. In fact, linguistically, if a Yoruba man is talking, an Igala man that has never left the shores of Igala land understand what a Yoruba man is speaking. The Igbo region, the princes that were sent out married natives of those areas and gave birth to children who, by virtue of the fact that their mothers were the ones at home raising them, were speaking Igbo language. So if you look at Anambra, Enugu states, the closest to us, Anambra State, Enugu State, Igala people are all over there. Presently, they are there. There are even those that, as I'm speaking, they have no other language. They don't even speak Igbo at all. But they are in Anambra, they are in Enugu State. The same thing with Delta. I'm giving you this background because these are the states surrounding Anegala region. Delta region, the Ebu people of Delta, Oshimiri North, Oshimiri South, East or West, in Edo State, they are Igala speaking. I will not go into the history of the various fragmentation that occurred during the creation of states, because it will eat into my time. I will not go into that. Now, having said this, the kingdom, like I said, was powerful. The Royal Navy held sway along the river or down to the coastal region, up from the confluence of the two rivers, River Niger and River Benue. The Royal Navy of the Ataigala held sway down to the coast, and that explains why you have Igala speaking people at the coastal region. Somebody posted the map of 1922 recently, and if you go to that map, you see that Igala people are found in Warri region. As I speak to you today, one of the ruling houses in Warri is Igala. Up to today is Igala. Having said this, I want to say that in 1841, the Queen of England signed a treaty with the Ata Amocheje, 6th of September 1841. It was that document that the British took to the Berlin Conference of 1884-1885 that gave them the right to take over this region that is not called Igala, because the Portuguese were contending for this area. The French were also there. And for them to be able to share among themselves what area should go to which nation, it was that treaty signed by the Ata Amocheje on the 6th of September 1841 that the British presented at the Berlin Conference, and they were favored to come and take over this before the issue of amalgamation came out. Now, having said this, the resources that are found in Anegala region are what have emboldened us to say this: yes, we can manage our resources ourselves. Even before now, under the native authorities, Igala Kingdom was second only to Kano. In terms of the economic power, economic standing. We were second only to Kano. And why was that so? Either the headquarters of Igala Kingdom was an inland port, inland water port. Ocean liners, big ocean liners used to come all the way to Ida, where they loaded palm produce, palm kernel, palm oil, and they offloaded finished goods. The companies that operated, the major companies that operated at that time were John Holt and UAC. It was a vibrant inland port where goods were loaded and taken off to Liverpool in Britain. We only depended on the agriculture. That has not changed. That has not changed. As you well know, the river Niger passes through our region. And so in agriculture, we are still as sound as we used to be in those days. Now to add to that, things have changed because of technology, because of discoveries of solid minerals and all that. So beneath our soil, we have a lot of solid minerals. The panelists will elaborate on that later on. And as also know, our region is the only region in the whole of northern Nigeria now that is designated as an oil producing region. Well, you may say oil producing state. The region is the one that has given Kogi State that designation of an oil producing region.
So that was actually quite good. It's quite long, but we're just going to take, this much. Some things she said that I think we should correct. The worry thing she mentioned about how Igala has ruling houses. I think she probably is thinking of Asaba. The Asaba story has an Igala connection to it, and the other places that are also connected to Igala in that part of Nigeria, that's in the Niger Delta area, particularly Delta State. So places like Ila, in Oshimiri North, you have the Ibu in Oshimiri North, you have the Oko in Oshimiri South, and they have links. Those have links with the Igala, not the throne of the Ogiame. Not to worry, throne. But of course, I think she was really talking about Delta State, and it's true. Igala, they have, you have them in Delta, you have them in Anambra, in Enugu, in of course Kogi State, and even in Benue, I think, Benue and Nasarawa side. So, and it's true that when they speak, I was dumbfounded when I first heard Igala years ago, and I had to, come to terms with the fact that, man, most of the Nkotan saw is the same thing. Once they say being pami, no lama so, or be pami. Around that to be all our nation to do, or car, those things. Oh, they might do all but also more ago. And one go about test one go by actually go on law, one go Japan. So the point is, somebody wrote that. Also, there is Igala collection warrior as well, but not the ruling house. Yes. So she said ruling house. Thank you very much, Mr. Koti. So she was talking about the ruling house. Go. Yeah. Eja Meiji. So they have Meiji. I think their accounting is also very similar to Yoruba accounting. But the important thing is that it's time for them to also want to say, let's self-determine. All right. And it's wrong what Nigeria has done. I think Nigeria has, sadly and unfortunately gone on with the European tradition of balkanizing ethnicities and just cutting them anyhow. The same way when you both came and said, Yoruba, the culture into Niger, into Nigeria, then into Togo and into Benin Republic. You also have, Nigerian government doing the same thing, also following the tradition. To be fair, they're not the ones that started it. Ibolobere allocations the way we are doing it at this moment. Right? If you are generating income or generating revenue in your part of the country, you should be able to have a substantial part of it domiciled in your region. I don't want to have to share the oil money from Bayelsa. Someone says, yeah, but all the money they're using, they're not using it, that's their business. Whatever they want to use it to do, they should use it to do it, but it's their own. So maybe they are saying 80-20. I don't know. I mean, that's how you propose negotiation. Maybe it's going to end at 70-30 or 60-40. But the majority of it should go to that region. A part of it, of course, goes to the federal government, who may even decide, like we did, back in the day before independence, share part of it in a pool that could now, it was called distributable pool, from where you could allocate something to each region. But majority of that pool goes to the federal government in order to be able to execute things that are exclusive only to the federal government, like security, that's army, customs, immigration, and things like that. So these things I think is going to really help, and it's important for us to appreciate what they are doing. The woman who spoke earlier that we just listened to is Professor Lucy Jumei Ogbaju, and she spoke for the Ana Igala region. Somebody says 95-5 is what I propose. How would they now pay the army? How would they take care of the borders? But it's good to say 95-5. Pakwata they will bring it, but 95-5 is even you were laughing. They'll still cut it down, But I think it's a conversation this is the kind of conversation we should be having. We've been having it here, but like I always say, whenever we have a conversation, I always say that all our fathers, they don't even know anything. I'm very careful with the elders. Just because they're not on social media talking doesn't mean they're not saying anything. They've been having these meetings, they've been gathering themselves. Of course, spearheaded by people who are more passionate about the idea of restructuring, but they also have to get the buy-ins of other groups. And one of them, of course, is the Ana Igala. I would like to read you the report I read the other day before we go deeper into today's conversation. Mombo, because I think at the end of the day, that report is a very good introduction to the entire thing. That's the one about... Mombo, okay, Mombo. Before. We're going to listen to one more. Tomorrow we'll continue with that so that we can listen to, So what I wanted to do really is to just read out the names of the states. Yeah. Akwa Ibom, Ana Igala, Akwa Agba, Bendel, Caliphate, Cross River, Gurara, Hausa, Igbo, Ijo, Kanem, Lower Benue, Niger, Plateau, Rivers, Savannah, and Yoruba. Those are the 17 regions they are proposing. They're also proposing fiscal federalism, where the regions would retain 80%. The regions would retain 80% of the revenues generated within their territories, while 20% would be allocated to the federal government. They're also looking at regional autonomy and constitutions. So each region would have the power to govern its internal affairs. By the way, it's not new. Before independence and the First Republic, each region had its own constitution. Of course, subject to the federal constitution or to the Nigerian constitution, but each region had its own constitution. They even had, what you may want to call High Commission. There's a particular word they use for it. We had one in England, in London. Someone said, what would they mention Yoruba last? No, because it's alphabetical. It's in alphabetical order now. Y is Yoruba. And there's no Zamfara region, so that's why there's no Z at the end. You people. All right. So they're talking about security architecture, that there will be creation of regional police forces. I agree to this. I even prefer it to state police because of the ruckus that could cause. But if we don't have this, of course, state police is what we're going to work with. This is a step higher than the 2014 confab. The 20 confab insisted that the federating unit will be states, but they allowed a clause that could allow for merger and demerger of states. But we're going to leave that for now because we're discussing this. This is talking about ethno-linguistic states. By the way, I saw somebody write something in the comment section some days ago, said these people don't know the difference between state and region. The person who wrote it does not know what he's writing. They are just designations. You can call it state, region, province, is the same thing. The assumption that region means north, west, east that we had is a product of nostalgia for something that is long gone. They can call Oyo region, Lagos region, Ogun region, or they can call Yoruba state. That's not what the point is. That the constituent unit of the country is that thing, no matter what you call it. Funny enough, in the 1960s, Papa wrote it in his book, Thoughts on the Nigerian Constitution, that you could call it anything. Region, state, province, it doesn't really mean... So the idea that it has to be state or region, if you call it region, is... But, like I've always said, and I'm glad it's happening now, when we talk about regional system, this is the regional system we are talking about, not to go back to northwest, east, or midwest, is to have ethno-linguistic region. So you have like a nation within a nation, which is what every nation that's making progress does. And we've talked about it several times. Belgium, Switzerland, United Kingdom, even Canada. You are able to run your area the way you want. And they don't cry over there for unity. Now we here, they cry for unity. 1960, 2026, 66 years far. I think crying for unity. That's why you have Peter Obi telling that it's going to unite to you. Something that unitary system could not do with Iransi. It's not about unity, it's about structure. All those other countries, they don't cry for unity, but they're having development. You are crying for unity, you have no development, you have no unity. So what's the sense? Why not structure based on sense? So security architecture will be, again, this is from, so there are two newspapers I read from Vanguard the other day. I think I should just read from Guardian. CCA demands 17 autonomous regions, 80% revenue retention. So very quickly, there will be regional police forces. There will be, so the national defense will be left to the federal government. So when it comes to the army, customs, and things like that, that will be the federal government. Then when it comes to boundary disputes, Prof, do the Yoruba delegates have a proposed map of the Yoruba region? Well, Professor, I keep calling Baba Professor, Ambassador Farombi, he mentioned the states, but he left out some places intentionally. And I think it's because of what I'm about to read right now. Whenever there is overlapping territorial claim, there are provisions for resolving such claims through dialogue, documentary evidence, negotiations, and referendum. So I would assume that you would have talked about the folks in Edo State, because a lot of them are speaking up. But you see, I like what's happening, by the way. I also like the fact that they didn't mention. I would have preferred the Yoruba elders to mention those groups. So I'm going to listen to the other clip. We're going to listen to that clips. But the point I don't want to listen to Yoruba one today. We'll listen to Igbo today. We'll listen to Professor Farombiabi. Amagbo Igbo Nsin. But because don't want to say anything, one for count and so pé ibi báyìí làwọn fẹ́ wà, wọ́n ní àìṣe referendum, so àwọn ló determine. I think that's what they're trying to do. And then of course, so that's about it. Fiscal federalism, regional autonomy, and constitutions, security architecture, and boundary disputes. And then they're asking for the creation of the National Rebirth Commission, which will be empowered. It should be a commission, just like developmental commission that we have, or any other commission we have in this country. But the idea would be to anchor constitutional negotiations, oversee referendums, and manage the transition to a regionalized structure. The best time to do this thing is now. And the best person to help us do it is the one that's there right now. All right, let's listen to, we're going to come back to you. We're going to spend some time on Yoruba now. Hausa also spoke, by the way. We'll listen to Hausa before Yoruba tomorrow. I think we should do that way. But for now, let's have by the way, Ento Soro from Yoruba is Professor Gbadi Ojo. We'll listen to him tomorrow. But now I'd like us to listen to the Igbo delegation and what they, 1 second please, what they had to say in terms of presentation.
The companies are operated, the major...
Mama went deep. There's also Savannah. Okay, I mentioned Savannah. Mumbo. Before. These boys sing good songs. You just come on ring and honey. Okay, good. So Professor Basi Igwe, the one who eventually led the team to walk out eventually. I mean, we discussed that before, right? Maybe we'll still talk about it today, but let's listen to his presentation, why and how we want the Igbo region. Please take a listen to this. This thing is long, but you're going to like it. Panther, how do you know this song? How do you know this song? Are you not supposed to know only worship song? How do you know I was singing before? Are you not supposed to know only worship songs? The song is interesting. It's very beautiful song. I want to say sweet. I'm also happy that Mayoko, was on that song because I've not heard his voice in a bit. Really good work, Davido, Mayoko, and Fola. I know more. I know more. All right, let's listen to Professor Basi Igwe. Why and how we want the Igbo region.
The Igbo nation is very happy with this conference, and we are making our position very clear. But the Igbo nation has a leadership. That leadership has given us a message today. Can I call upon Honorable Barrister Emeka Mekesi to deliver the good message from the Ohanese President General, who is an Igbo man from Port Harcourt. He has given us a good message. Please, Honorable Barrister, read the message.
Greetings to everyone that is in attendance here.
Sorry, I'm seeing things in the comment section. Why did he say, and I just thought about it, why did he say the man is from Ikwere land? It's because and they say atamo láti tún ìtàn ẹlòmíì sọ. Wọ́n ti lọ mú èèyàn kan nú ara mi fẹ́ sọ dé ìbò ni o, fẹ́ sọ dédé Gẹ̀ẹ́sì. If you don't understand English, don't worry, I'll explain later. Wọ́n ti lọ mú kan nú àwọn ara abẹ yẹn. Wọ́n ti fi ṣe ọ̀gá olórí wọn as Ohanese Ndigbo president. So he's making a statement. See, this is why I like what the elders did with the Yoruba guys, but we'll talk about that later. But let's keep listening. So they'll read that report and they will now talk. The end is actually quite funny. It's quite long, so I'll see how much we can take today. Let's go on.
This is a good way message from Senator John Azuta Mbata, the Ohanese Ndigbo President General. Protocols. The Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Ambassador Dr. Yemi Farumbi, distinguished members of the board, delegates from across Nigeria's federating regions, respected leaders, assembly on the restructuring of Nigeria. The timing is apt. The theme you have chosen, the future constitutional and governance architecture of Nigeria, touches the very foundation of our nationhood. For too long, we have operated a system that concentrates power at the center, stifles initiative at the subnational level, and breeds distrust insecurities, inequity, injustice. A federation where every region controls its resources, secures its people, and competes peacefully for development, while the center handles the defense, foreign affairs, and currency. The Articles of Federation you seek to deliberate on must therefore answer three critical questions. 1. How do we restructure power, devolve real authority and prosperity, peace and prosperity, by building institutions that are fair, accountable, and responsible and responsive to the people. Nationalities is committed to a united Nigeria, but that unity must be negotiated, not imposed. It must be built on this mutual respect and a clear contract among the federating units. I commend Syria for this bold initiative. I urge all the delegates to approach these deliberations with patriotism, sincerity, and long-term view. Let us give birth to federation of our children that we're proud of. Let us give birth to a federation that our children will be proud of. Bless this assembly. May God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I thank you and God bless. Set up. John, I'll stand by. Thank you very much.
In the world, the Igbo nation will constitute 60% of Black America.
Are you ready for this lamba? Is the question I need to ask before we get deeper. But it's go deeper, sir. Are you ready for deeper? Is a big you will hear when today. All right, it's about to go down. Someone says Igbo John says clear between Igala presentation and Igbo presentation. Igumuji no sorry. Nigeria lo shele si Igala. Now Nigeria happened to Igala people. Oh. Igala people were fierce warriors and they colonized some people and dominated their lands and spread into different parts before Nigeria now happened to them. But here's the point. Are we ready? I think we are ready. So let's go on. We're about to hear deep things.
This is your microphone.
DNA in the world. The Igbo nation will constitute 60% of Black Americans in the United States. The Igbo nation now.
Professor, no share.
To Igbo in the Caribbean. The Igbo nation extends to Sierra to have indigenous ethnic nationalities in Sierra Leone, in the Gambia, in Equatorial Guinea, and most of the countries of the Guinea region. There are Igbo people scattered all over Nigeria.
Farah, you saw that young man that came to do one video. People, okay, I didn't play it here because of course it's just ridiculous. People sent me a lot of videos. They said they were in. That's the first thing. Spent time talking about how Igbo people are in. Wonderful Jesus is Lord.
Scattered all over Nigeria, indigenous Igbo from Safari
Professor
to other places. We don't want to go into the Galamela and how the Igbo have influence among our Yoruba brothers. They can know that in the Igbo suffixes and prefixes within our respected Yoruba nation.
How can a professor be this slow. You're indigenous to Zamfara. You're indigenous to Borno. You're indigenous to Kwara. How? You see, when you see all these riffraffs talk nonsense, this is a professor. He then said there's something between them and their Yoruba brothers, and we can see it with our prefixes and suffixes. What kind of egbere or did you know people in so? Suffixes and you know what he's saying? Igbora, Igbo Shere, those are prefixes. Ijebu Igbo, suffix, Oyigbo. Igbo Mina, prefix. Wherever you see any Igbo you see that's connected to Igbo in Yoruba land is forest, Igbo Rere. Prof. You know when you get angry with the nuisance that they're considering on social media, you're like, I see the young people. It's not young people, though. It's not young people, though. That Igbos are indigenous to Zamfara. There's no sensible human being that can tell you anything to connect the dots. There is no proof of that statement. Want with people like this now. That's the problem. All you want. The one that pains you most is the prefix and suffix rubbish that he just mentioned. With the we have Kinikon with our Yoruba brothers, with the prefixes and suffixes within our respected Yoruba nation. What kind of rubbish is that? We are not connected. The only Igbo that has to do with Igbo is in the southeast. There is no connection. You're never connected with our Igbo, the bushes. You're not connected with anything in Yoruba land. Go and meet them in Zamfara. Can you imagine? I've never gone deep. I mean, you say you're like 60%. It's not even the biggest land, but there's 60% in the United States, back America. Maybe, who knows? But he said there's a bigger land that is coming. But this suffix, prefix thing, professors are spreading that rubbish. I mean, the king was saying it. Obi of Onitsha was saying it. How lost can you be that you have to attach yourself to everybody else? Professor, because you know, with academia, you expect that you are doing your research and you're presenting facts based on data and evidence. But no, it's based on Lamba.
But we are here presenting ethnic nationalities in Sierra Leone, in the Gambia, in Equatorial Guinea, and most of the countries of the Guinea region.
Okay.
There are Igbo people scattered all over Nigeria, indigenous Igbo people from Zamfara to Borno to Kwara to other places. We don't want to go into the government influence among our Yoruba brothers. They can know that in the Igbo suffixes and prefixes within our respected. Here, presenting a region that is Igbo homeland, from which place we have this spread.
Hello, please, let us have one meeting.
Somebody says the Yoruba should have corrected him. No, the Yoruba elders were smart not to correct him. The people that corrected him eventually, those ones, you will hear what they said about it. They don't want to make it about it, since they're not even asking for those things. And they're not having an academic conversation. It's about what do you... So here's the thing. The question is, come and tell us your region and you know, why you should get it. Not to be telling us how you own other people's spaces. How can you... There are some things I don't want to say, because how do you now talk to young people? How do you talk to young if elders are like this? The elders, Yoruba elders, did not talk to him on this matter because the question is about, you eventually get to what they want eventually, so they don't want to make it about arguments. They eventually got it from Rivers people, but let's continue.
The hall is too noisy. Please, everybody sit down.
Imagine.
That's a shameful nonsense. Agbalagba.
This Igbo nation is now numbering almost 400 million of Igbo GNA in the world. These
Wow. That's the Lamba. That's the bigger Lamba. Igbo people have 400 million. The DNA of Igbo people in the world is 400 million. And you turn it, be is that the person speaking is a professor. So the veracity that it requires in terms of the information itself. 400
These are the
million.
people we are representing.
400
and we have to